Hello, everyone. Welcome to DPA Open Mic, episode 46. 46. And the pointless title that we always don't really have to follow is Ukrainian offensive ending, or is it just starting? Because the Raspituta or Raspitita or whatever that mud season is called is coming. And also, Iran and Azerbaijan is facing up against each other because of Armenia, and Russia have basically disregarded, disavowed Armenia, because Armenia went on to do military exercises with US or NATO, despite Sisto wanted to do exercise with them, but they don't want. So Armenia is running themselves into the ground. Reminds me of Ukraine. Since 2014. So anyway, okay, so so hi to everyone. I'm going to drop the link. Okay, so as usual, the link to join the open mic, it will be pinned in the YouTube channel for the open mic channel. So you have to go over to the open mic channel to join, and also on the open mic channel on Rumble. So this stream is multicast on DPA's open mic channel on Rumble, on YouTube, the DPA's main channel, Twitch, and Twitter. So a lot of different places. And let me paste the link first. Give me a while. I cannot keep up. So many people is talking to me. Wait, where is this link? You must have the link to join open mic is here. Okay, this is the one. Okay, I think so I will place this in the main channel first, and then on Twitch, yeah, I can just paste here. It's okay. To Twitch, and also okay, I got paste the link to join over here. Copy, paste, and paste here. People tell me to hurry up. Okay, I've dropped the link to join on the open mic channel. Is pinned, and have I pinned this? Is this pinned on the Rumble? And yeah, so for those that are on the YouTube channels, the main channel and the open mic channel, if you join member, there is actually some special emoticons that you can use if you are a member, YouTube member, only for YouTube members. So is the I will show you. Yeah, for those that are on the open mic channel. But do note that the open mic channels, only the open mic channel itself, the member do not really get access to the SIBRAP. The main channel will get access to the SIBRAP, but it's a separate thing. Like only for the open mic channel is separate. Yeah, so you'll get to have the what the fuck, nice quote, my can't believe face, and the Giga chat face. So is everything okay? Can you guys hear me? I've been talking, and maybe you guys cannot hear me actually. Can you guys hear me? Sounds okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah. I was like worried for a while. I was like, what? Yeah. Got show on the Gabon. Yeah. Oops. Sound is low. Is it? My mic is actually not. I didn't adjust low actually. Yeah, for those that haven't watched the Gabon video, you should watch it. It's really fun. Yeah, but I do know that Gabon is not a sexy topic. Yeah, and thank you for those that actually become YouTube members on the war channel and the main channel, because it really helps. And I think we have 14 new YouTube members, so that's very, very good actually. And that helps to create some cushion, because nowadays the competition is really fierce, so the views cannot get up. Like it doesn't matter, the video is actually performing well. Like if I was talking to History Legend about this as well. It's like I show him the video performance. It's actually very, very good, but the video performance doesn't correlate with the views, so there's nothing I can do about it. Yeah. So, and also the latest sit rep, which you probably can see through the conclusions, Ukraine really is doing well nowadays. Like it doesn't matter how many people they die, they are doing the mid assault or what. No, it's mostly infantry assaults, and it's actually doing well. So, and they're actually really pushing the Russians back. They found a way that they can fight the Russians, despite Russians have overwhelming advantage in terms of artillery and air force, but somehow they can still get results, and people are just very triggered by it. I don't know. It's like no, they cannot accept the truth, and it's so weird. Prata.
Hello. Good morning.
Wait, I need to put on the earphone. I can't hear you. Wait.
Oh, you can't hear me? You can't hear me? No? No hearing?
Wait. It's my fault. It's my fault. It's not you. I haven't put it on.
Yes, your Gabon video was great. Very informative, actually. It was very boring, and we could understand a lot of what's happening there. Actually, it was very well done. Thank you very much. Wait.
Sorry, I actually cannot hear you. I'm setting up my.
It's you. Oh, okay.
I can hear already. What did you say just now? Sorry.
I said that your Gabon video was really good.
No, thank you so much.
You say just now, sorry.
There's some feedback. I hear some feedback. I think with Voss, you check your audio. I think there's some feedback on the side.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I know it's me.
Hi, Mike. Hi, Vaun.
Hi.
Vaun, you're muted.
Hey, everybody.
I'm in disguise. I probably tricked Voss. He's pretty easily tricked.
I think Prata, is it yours?
No, it's not. Well, are you listening to me?
Maybe. Wait, let me check. Or is it Mike? There's some audio feedback.
No, yeah, it's not me.
Now I will figure out in a while.
Is it the feedback?
Vaun, you're muted.
No.
No. I don't think not. I think it might be Mike now because Voss have muted himself. So
hello,
it's not him.
Yeah, I was gonna say I got this snack for some of the people out there in the open mic voice chat.
Yeah,
they like a hangover.
They got confused. They got confused by the thumbnail. It's like, oh no, what am I?
Oh, so let me guess. Since this is the makeup right off the bat, we're gonna talk about Africa and BRICS.
I don't know, but G20
I'm just kidding.
Definitely. I hope a little bit of G20 wouldn't be bad, and we should also comment a bit on Gabon video because it was very good.
Yeah, I'm so disappointed by the views, man. I thought at least I would get like 10,000 views. Oh my god, it was like so low. It takes a long time to map all these things. But it's okay. It's okay. No, it's an African video, so that's how African video goes.
Well, well, more or less depends because I don't think Gabon really it didn't develop like people were expecting to. It become a very domestic coup that everybody's accepting. So it doesn't have really that type of conflict we saw with Niger, and we also.
Did you guys?
It was impressive.
I was just saying, were you guys saying that you thought it was going to kick off a lot faster, or it would just because the hype? Like not you particularly, but I mean, you were saying a lot of people thought it was going to go hot in Africa with all the rhetoric.
Because it was a French-speaking country. It has been one of the countries that's more dependent on France, more or less. Well, Wade said a lot of good, explained it very well. Well, actually,
were the French kicked out of Gabon now too, or are they?
No. And you could see that the moment that the guy was was appointed to president, the ambassadors, the Western ambassadors were there. So this is something you could never expect in Niger. But it's like
I was going to ask another question. I saw a headline. It didn't make sense to me. Did the military junta in Niger release the elected president that they took in a coup?
No.
Or was that Gabon?
No. Gabon.
Or was it
Gabon?
For Gabon.
Okay.
Yeah, what happened in Gabon?
Did that
Gabon,
help
what
out the
happened in
junta
Gabon?
that took out the guy in Gabon then? Or does that mean they went back to the way it was before?
Ali Bongo.
Yeah, what
Yes,
happened in
so
Gabon
the-
is just a kind of a scheme. It's a scam stuff that's going on there, right? But I tell you one thing, give Gabon 6 months. 6 months, okay? Things gonna change in Gabon. Because what happened in Gabon is because it's still the same family running the whole thing around themselves. Okay, it might look like a coup or whatever they do with the French and the other stuff, right? Or they all still the same thing, nothing different.
Yes,
So we're hearing in TVs, blah blah blah, just nonsense. They're just moving the stuff around themselves there. Period.
you could see the same.
So
like
would you
in,
say,
in
like,
the
overall
Burkina
then?
Faso. You could
I
see
mean,
the same like in Burkina Faso, where actually a second coup appeared over the coup, and those are the ones that really want to make a change. And it could be, but I don't see it in Gabon. Gabon is a
Yeah, it's
very
coming.
diversified country.
Would you say that, like, for lack of a better word, things have stabilized somewhat now in the situation with the parties not being so keyed up?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Basically, Ali Bongo can leave the country, He was told, if you want to go. We no longer need you
it's
here.
not even
you have the opposition leader. The opposition leader is being very loud. He's saying he won the election, which is questionable, but he say he won the election. He also accuses Ali Bongo of stealing money, and he finds it's a scandal that they are going to let him go without giving the money back. And well, this will make, like Mike was saying, a kind of repercussion. The difference, though, for Niger, for Chad, or for Burkina Faso, is that people in Gabon, they don't live in constant fear like they do in these three other countries in the Sahel due to the terrorism attacks there. And also, you have a very stable life. Actually, after the days of the coup, everybody went to their normal life like nothing happened. They were just partying the first 2 days that Ali Bongo was gone, and then they went to their life. It depends definitely how much people are suffering for. But Mike,
Prata. Listen, Gabon have 35% of population living like hell.
Yes.
Like hell. Gabon is bigger than the UK, but the population of London is 4 times bigger than population of Gabon. Gabon is a very rich country. It's member of OPEC, and it's the 4th country in Africa that sells more oil.
You have
the money this country made, Gabon should be look like.
So for me,
Dubai, like Dubai. I'm not saying Dubai is a good thing, but Gabon should be looking like Dubai, and the people live there should be paid to be at home.
You have 2 types of revolution that I could say, modern types of revolution. One is one where the people making the revolution, they don't have anything to lose. So they already lost everything. So it doesn't matter what happens.
They lost nothing.
Yes,
they lost
wait,
nothing.
Wait. And then you have a revolution like the color revolution. So people actually have a lot, but they want more of the good stuff. So it's the difference. So
Okay.
you wanna tell me that people in Gabon really are suffering that much and that
Yes.
they actually have nothing
They,
to do?
they, they suffer. They,
Okay.
Prata, listen, they lost nothing because they never had anything. They can gain a lot.
If
Gabon
they
is
are
a
aware.
very, very, very rich country. You know, the population there is nothing. 2 million people, you know, for the money they make, 2 million people. Give that country to China, and I'll give you 10 years, maybe 5. That country is going to change. Everyone is going to have a proper home. You know, when you see videos of people, the way people live in Africa, a lot of people in Gabon live like this, you know, about 900,000 people live that way.
Well, the thing is,
That's
when that revolution
that's
comes,
almost 1 million people.
when that
You know,
revolution comes, wait, we'll make a video of Gabon and everybody is going to watch it. Watch
Okay.
it.
This is the thing about Gabon. Okay. The Gabon, the bigger problem they have is that their literacy. There are more literacy people in Ghana, I mean Gabon, than educated people. It's like only about maybe 20% is educated. 50% is poor literacy. So if you don't know what you're missing, you don't know what you need.
yeah.
Okay,
Ah,
that is the one
there
thing
you
about
go. There you
that is the
go.
one thing about the Gabon, right? The government down there rule with the iron fist that people don't understand. No democracy the way you can speak your mind in Gabon because government control everything. So now, if you can't do anything, you're locked down. That those who can speak their limits, and it's more difficult for them to convince other people that this is what you guys are missing, right? Because they are so literacy, they have no idea what is it for. Okay, so for you to go and convince them that you guys are missing this and missing that and missing, they will not understand what they are missing. We the one that know what they are missing, but they don't know what they are missing. Because the government was the Alibongo keep everything down so much that only few people be able to get up. So those who get up, I just stay up there. They will not let other come up. So anybody try to come up, they kick them back, and then eliminate or terminate. So now, majority of Gabons don't know what is going on. They just hear about the coup on the radio, but they don't even know what the heck it is. Right? So, well, that's what I say. Give it 6 months, things will change. That is some things brew in that military. Right? Something is going on there that people don't even know right now. But this is what I also see that the French is launched investigation to every military to know where the crack might come from first. Now they are digging through that now because now, the way they do this cool thing, it already opened some military eye. But the funny thing is that the majority of the one in the higher positions in the military there was well paid. They have a big house, or the general has a big house, a lot of monies. So for them to start coup, it will be more difficult. Because why do you want to start coup when you make a lot of money? Right? The coup they do is just like a fake. It's a fake. They try to suppress those who are supposed to make a real coup. And that's what they do that for. So when everybody's making good money, I mean, the one in the top, so why do you want to ruin things?
Yeah, but you know, Mike, Gabon needs someone who cares about the people. You know,
Yeah,
everyone outside of Gabon is watching them and ask them, "What the fuck are you guys doing?" You know, it's not like they're gonna, it's not like they're gonna feed a country like Nigeria with 200 million. We're talking about 2 million people, man. 2
yeah,
million
but
people in
the
a
fact is that
country that is bigger than the UK. 2 million people.
who want to
What
live it?
what
Who want to
what
ruin their good
resources
life
does
to go and fight
the
for them?
what resources does Gabon have?
It's
Oil.
rich
A
in
lot of stuff.
oil and gold.
Oil.
Gold.
Oil and gold.
Gold, uranium.
So really, they
Mineral,
just need.
cassatra, and others.
Basically, everything you see in Central West Africa and part of South of Africa, yes, Gabon
No.
have that.
No, everything you see in France, Vaun, is what Gabon has.
No, but okay. Now with Gabon is who's in charge of the
right.
resources?
Huh?
Ali Bongo.
The oil is
Ali Bongo.
America. The oil
Family.
is America. America control the oil in Africa.
Do they give anything to Gabon?
It's the same deal Gabon have with Angola have with United States.
Gabon, the oil
Basically,
is mostly controlled by the France.
basically, total controls the oil in
Exactly.
Africa. But
And then it's
everyone knows it's total, but it's not. That's
But
on
are
paper.
they paying any
America
kind
control
of?
the oil in Africa.
The second biggest controller of the oil industry is a French guy, but the enterprise is registered in Singapore.
But what I'm asking is are they paying the Gabon people anything off that oil? Are they getting like residuals or some kind of
They
cut?
get royalties, but it's very small.
After they divide it for everyone, pay everyone. Basically, they get like 25% in the end. That's it.
I heard
Still a lot.
I'm not-
Still a lot.
my mem-
Because
my
they are the
memory-
first production in Africa. Still a lot. They
my
are member
memory
of
doesn't-
OPEC.
my memory
What-
doesn't betray
What about
me.
the gold?
I think
Who's running the gold?
This is a big mystery, man.
So that's just probably a free for all. Whoever can get in there and bribe somebody is probably getting the gold.
Probably a South African company.
Sorry, Prada, you were saying?
I was saying that I think around 35,000 people work in the oil industry, and that's pretty much it. Then there is almost nothing besides like very low jobs on the mining industry, and that's it. The biggest industry is like in many countries in Africa is telecommunications. Well, it's not very difficult, but that's it. It's a country
So
that-
there's really not a lot of opportunities for like Gabon to get lifted up as far, with the money. You know what I mean? I mean, there's not. They don't get a lot of money. They don't really, I guess, have the ability to expand. I mean, I guess you could say if they had an honest partner, maybe someone could stand there and help them, but it doesn't seem like anyone's ever the honest local.
Like Mike said, they never had anything. They don't know what they're missing. So
we are also talking about one of the.
30% of
but I mean, I'm just saying like basic shit, like at least some infrastructure. I mean, even if they like living the way they live, as long, like you said, if they're making money and they can eat and they're happy. I mean, the standard of living for an African man is different than the standard of living for a European or American or whatever. So
but the money the money the government make could change these people's life just like this, just like this, straight away.
Mike just now say, wait, give me a moment. Mike just now say that half a year things will change in a good way or in a bad way? Because I don't get
because what happened is that in Gabon, about 40% of Gabonese live in the countryside, jungle, right? Some of those people, they don't barely see cars. So why do you need a car when you live in the jungle, right? Some of these things we are so exciting with, they don't need it because it's not with their lifestyle.
I understand that. I'm just talking about like this, put schools in or hospitals in or shit like that, shit that people would use even if they still live out in the country and live a basic life. That it's still nice to be able to go to a doctor or
why would you do that? Why would you do that when you want to keep everybody illiteracy? Why would the government do that when they want to keep everybody literacy? Why would they put school everywhere? That's stupid.
I mean, that's the problem. You always got these assholes who take all the fucking money.
Mike, I understand your point. It's also important to say this is one of those parts of Africa. It has a luxurious nature. It's very rich in terms of people probably don't need to work a lot the land to have a lot out of it. But the thing is, I understand your point, Mike, but we live in the modernity. If people have a mobile, they know what's happening out there, and they can change people's minds. It's very easy, actually, to control people's minds to want more. Yes. So we none of us live in Gabon. I think it's a very
But
close country. We have very little information of what is happening there. We are speculating, most any of us. They probably are just
I've
speculating.
got
We
I've
saw
got a
some
friend I've
numbers,
got a friend
and we
on the
can
ground.
make some educated guess.
Someone I grew up with lives there. He works for the Angola embassy.
What I'm saying about Gabon is not about speculation.
No, a bit. It's just many things happen very fast. We live in these modern times where things happen very fast, and people can wish things that they never had before in apps in a very fast way. But you are right. I don't see, as when I watch the videos, when I see that sociographic and their political architecture they have, I don't see that 6 months queue coming so fast. Like you were saying at the beginning, and now you are saying, okay, the problem as well is that people want a revolution because they don't know what they want. They wouldn't know what they are asking for. That's your
Yeah.
point, right, Mike?
That
No. This is what I'm.
Prata. What he was saying basically is people is gonna wake up because
Oh, yes.
it doesn't matter how many people go access the internet. You just need one person in a village. That's it.
That
One
has
person in a
mobile.
village is enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. This person starts
The
just
funny thing
open his mouth.
that those people that can convince those people down there have to be somebody that come from foreign country, that been there, grew up there, travel abroad, and come back home. Okay, if you grow up in that country, it will be difficult for you to convince them that this is the bright way for you to go. They will not go along with you. But if you already travel abroad, right, they know that this guy came from abroad, he will have a better experience than they do. So they will be able to go along with you. But if you grow up with them, no matter how much they believe you both consume the same news, the same information, so you cannot convince them. So, like I say, now they open a floodgate right now, and again, we see. Let me just put it that way. But like I say, 6 months, we might hear another story. This is African for you. This is what has been happening for 60s,
You know,
70s.
they just need a little push in the back. You know, they need to see their neighbors. Two neighbors. They have two neighbors, Cameroon and the Congo Brazzaville. I don't know what's going on in that country, but something is not right about Congo Brazzaville. That country is the
Something is
same like
coming. In
Gabon. You know,
Brazzaville, something is
they
coming. You
have
are right.
they have the same resources and stuff, but no one knows what's going on in that country. So if Cameroon and Congo Brazzaville change the regime, people in Gabon gonna start saying, "Ooh, maybe we can have this and that." The other one is Congo Kinshasa. You know, the government is working well. It's trying to work well, but the government need to get rid of that peacekeepers, whatever they call them. Is there? You know,
Can I ask you,
14,000
Vosh, are you familiar with
peacekeepers. That's a fucking army.
Vosh, can I ask you a question regarding the
Familiar with what?
you were
Yes.
mentioning Congo Brazzaville and stuff. Wagner is in the area, are they not? They maybe not so strongly present, but it's
They are basically Central African Republic. Central African Republic that shares border with Gabon and Congo Kinshasa. But I think there is some in Congo Kinshasa.
no,
Some
because I
Wagner
believe I
there
came
because
several months ago. I
but
came across an article about Wagner being invited into the Congo, and I had a discussion with RL about that. Where I asked if someone knew if Wagner's involvement might have any influence on the cobalt mine being, its significance to Western tech industries. but Wagner's presence would not be even remotely close to having any significance there, because M26 backed up by Rwanda is simply too powerful. But I'm not sure. That's a long time ago now. It started to be many months ago, so maybe it's
that's not Congo Brazzaville. That's Congo Kinshasa. This is
Some-
where there is
Some-
14,000 peacekeepers. You know, these people kill people there. These guys need to leave the country.
yeah, because I remember that was it was a DRC Congo that Momieni FCS pointed out was most likely to be coup. But you also hear through in Brazzaville, so the other Congo.
Hmm.
So what is the difference between those two? Like you say, the Brazzaville more similar to Gabon in the sense that it's an internal dynastic coup.
Yeah, because you know, Congo, Congo Brazzaville is it's just different. You know, they are a weird country. It's a country you don't really talk about a lot, like Togo, Benin. You know,
No, I've
people,
gotten that.
people,
Most people.
people don't care about this country, but this country is on Atlantic Ocean. If they are on Atlantic Ocean, means they got oil. I mean, a lot of oil. Don't
Yeah, because
just
most people think of DRC Congo when they think of Congo, the biggest Congo, basically.
yeah.
But I was thinking more like in terms of like we were discussing. I'm not sure if you've seen that recording. Everyone in the audience, you can find recordings made by speakers here on the open mic channel. Just click on the videos, and the titles are not a scam. Here, you will actually we will actually be talking about what is on the titles. So, if you're going to look about coup talks, we have been talking extensively about it. So, do please have a look there when you have the time for it. But where was I with this? We were talking about like Gabon, for example, differing quite a bit from, let's say, Burkina Faso. You know, what's a insurrection? What is a external coup? What is a revolution, right? And in that sense, Gabon was much more clearly a more internal matter, probably propped up by the West as well still, but it had much more to do with the dynastic rule. The fundamental power structure did not change, right? But that was also one of the main reasons that Cameroon Togo, I think, was slated for a coup, because they too had been operating with a more or less similar dynastic rule for many, many decades. And so their type of coup would more likely be similar to Gabon, as opposed to, for example, Niger and Burkina Faso. But I think Niger actually is a little bit different as well.
Well, I think if you were to compare, Gabon to Burkina Faso, for example, or Mali, they also, up in the north, they also have the Islamic element that I don't think is as pronounced as it is in Gabon, if at all. So I think that if you were to compare that coup versus the one in Gabon, there are also those kind of northern factors that Gabon doesn't have. But the overarching theme of all of these coups, I think, is number one, these countries are tired of being basically used for their resources. And they're sick and tired of their puppet governments that are in power. So that's number one. And number two, they're not afraid anymore. They know that, the world is changing, and they're not afraid to actually conduct these coups. If this was 10 years ago, these would have been suppressed easy. But now they've got the courage to do so because they see it happening in numbers. So I think that those are two key points to distinguish these coups.
And in going to Nuna's thought, I would say it was very clear in the G20 how Africa is becoming even more important than Ukraine. The attention given to Africa was something unusual, and I think it's like you were saying, Nunia, this new self-awareness that they can change their life, that it is their moment in history. I have the feeling this is coming. It's scaring a bit Europeans or the Westerns. either as a fear or as an opportunity. There are many people, they also see it as an opportunity. And when you coping with asking about Wagner, I was very surprised to notice in Central Asian Republic that the Chinese mines were being protected by Wagner groups. So this could also happen in other parts of Africa, like in Congo, Kinshasa, to say that. So Vaun, sorry, go on.
Just to follow on the Wagner thing, yeah, there's a whole bunch of contracts they have in Africa specifically related to just mining and oil protection. So, and then if they're there, that already gives Russia a foot in the door as far as friendly relations if they do a good job and, you know, make Russia look good. It's all that.
This is
But I was
more. This is more in Central Africa. All these
yeah, that's what I'm
countries,
saying. They're mostly
even
there.
yeah, in Central Africa. Even this Burkina Faso and Mali, they are in West Africa, but basically they are in Central Africa as well. They're just in the north of Central Africa.
And I was going to say, in regards to, you know, Africa rising up, man, I said it before, with the United States as weak as it is in Biden, if you got a beef against the United States, now has been the time to make your moves. And Ukraine has only exacerbated it because it's made the West even weaker.
But
the worst thing could have happened for Africa, BRICS, and probably Russia would have been to win the war quickly, because it wouldn't have hurt Europe. They'd still have Nord Stream. The United States would be the same or stronger because they, you know, beat Russia somehow by not having the war. Russia ended it quick, you know, however they'd spin it. So, I mean, you know, a lot of these countries, it's like they know Russia's strong right now. They know China's, you know, standing up. Those are two big guys that kind of have on your side, or maybe you think they're on your side. So why not make a move? I mean, you see what your competition is doing. They're idiots. I mean, you could go out into the jungles of Gabon and pick a random kid, and he would probably do a better job at making decisions that would be important and strategic than some idiot like Biden. I mean, it's a joke. And I don't blame any country for going out and doing it. I mean, if you're not going out right now and taking care of your business, you're a damn fool.
Vaun,
you're a bad leader for your country.
Vaun, ask yourself one thing. Which European country, that's one of the American puppies that doesn't depend a lot on the United States? France, where all this coup is happening in Africa, all countries that speak French.
So the French if you think about it, the French kind of skated on the Ukraine war.
Basically, the CIA is helping these countries get rid of France. So France
that's
can
what I'm saying. I mean, if you think about it, France kind of skated this whole Ukraine war as far as support. You know, they haven't really, you know, they say things, but they don't really do anything. They just make statements. So maybe this isn't a backdoor way to get payback. You know, Russia is happy to displace France, and the United States gets even with France. I mean, it's not above the United States to take revenge on its allies if they don't do what we want.
There have been several articles speaking to that effect in the Western media about how the U.S. has kind of undercut France with some of these moves in Africa. But I go back to, and I raised this before several months ago, back at the very beginning of the year, Macron and Biden had an argument on the phone, reportedly had a shouting match on the phone. And for whatever reason, the French haven't been on board with Project Ukraine or Project Much ever since. So I kind of have to agree with what Vaz is suggesting and Vaun is speaking about as well. You know, perhaps this is just a way to get in there because they know that the French are being booted. Sure.
I mean, think about it too. You know, when we bombed Libya back in the 80s, the first time we did it, France denied us rights to fly through their airspace, so they had to fly around like an extra 2,000 nautical air miles to go around France's airspace to bomb Libya. And we lost an aircraft on that mission. and also the French embassy was accidentally hit by a bomb. So I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
love this last dance.
if France is fucking the U.S. on Ukraine, then the U.S. is probably going to fuck Ukraine or France in Africa. Because you think about it, they're stupid. They probably think, oh, we'll let Russia get in there, but Russia's going to lose anyway. Because
I don't
so
feel.
and you know they make dumbass decisions.
I'm sorry to cut you guys off, but I think you guys are wrong about the France and Ukraine. The major architect for the Ukraine are British and France. These are the one. They are the architect of the project Ukraine.
No, Mike, you're so wrong.
Trust me, those two countries, they are the architect, especially English.
France isn't the architect of shit. France is like a Johnny come lately. France doesn't. You know,
France,
they have an army. They
not.
don't do shit to worry about their own problems. What do they worry about? Africa. They don't fucking contribute shit to anywhere else. They send a couple of guys here to Iraq or a few guys to Afghanistan. But what does France worry about? France, and they don't fucking care about nothing else. They don't even really like to fucking be in NATO.
If you go back to France, has never been on board with Project Ukraine. You go back to Sarkozy. Even Sarkozy was adamant, didn't want Ukraine part of NATO going back to like 2008. So I don't think they've ever been on board with this project.
I'm sorry, guys. You're wrong. France is the architect, one of the architects of Project Ukraine.
I mean, they can't be an architect when all they sent was some RC-10 tanks and
let's hear his argument. Let's hear his argument first.
Let him make his point. Yeah, please.
France contribute a lot, not just with the military, with the technology, with the weapons. In fact, what comes next to United States? United States, Great Britain, the third is France in weapon delivery to Ukraine, right? Then next is German. So even French contribute more weapon than German. It's not about the tank, but artillery is the key. And again, the French has all kind of intelligence. Back in the back moon, you could see a lot of French soldiers. I mean, not back moon. I mean, I'm talking about what was underground, and there was a what is that place again? When it was underground, Mariupol. That's so much French soldier there. Many was killed, but many was get escaped. Not even British. France, they are the major architect of Project Ukraine.
But when you say
the major architect is the United States, so those guys
United States
do our bidding. I mean, we did the plan, then we tell Britain what to do, and we tell Europe what to do, and we tell NATO what to do. They don't act without us fucking telling them what to do. This is America's plan, and those guys are the fucking puppets doing the bidding. That's simple. France doesn't do.
Mike, you're gonna piss off Victoria Nolan. You said French, and the British had #1. That's Victoria Nolan project, man. That's Victoria Nolan project.
Let me ask you one question.
Wait. Let me ask Mike a question.
Which country control the water?
Mike, when you say architect, let me have it understand you perfectly clear. When you say architect, do you mean like they were part of the structuring of the planning and they were instrumental in that regard, or they spearheaded the whole operation and they were the top planners that also triggered all executions and so forth, and they were basically the masterminds in charge?
Okay, this is what they do, right? This is from 2014, right? They tell, okay, let's settle this, blah blah blah. They come to Russia, come to Ukraine, make it look like a peace.
Did they initiate a coup in Ukraine in 2014?
No, that's what I'm trying to explain right here, right? They haven't seen the opportunity back then. Back then, the technology is not mature enough. That's why they call off now 2014.
But already,
what they want. This is what they want.
Architect. If they were not the ones who initiated the coup, you're already saying they are not the architect.
That's what I'm about to explain. How they was architect everything. Okay. You see, I'm not saying not just French. I say it's part of the major architect of this war. Once they sought, because now Ukraine never have built enough aid. with Russia
My,
before
my.
the 2014. After 2014, there are more. That's like 8, but after 2014, the hate will go to another level. Now they can manipulate them. They can use them, right? The French, mostly the British, because British control the whole world, right? The British, because America is like a boxer. So whatever British say, British is always right. If British say it, it must be right.
You're
Okay?
so wrong, Mike. You're so wrong, Mike. You know, United Kingdom, and France are the attacking dogs of United States.
No, you're wrong. United
They are
States
the
is the
attacking
attacking dog.
dogs.
They are the one that tell United States what to do. United States, or they are like a puppy. They are boxer. Okay. See, whenever say if everything around the world, British control all over the world. Whatever British say
Okay,
is right. Look at
okay,
the whole story.
okay. Tell Rich Sunak to go to United States and say, I'm gonna put a military base
See, Rishi Sunak is not a lawyer.
in Mexico.
Well, we obviously don't agree that France is the architect, so we can move on after Prada to something
I
else.
said one of the major architects.
But just one question for your logic, Mike. So because what you're basically saying is that the weaker partner, what is essentially perceived as the vassals of the United States, are the ones controlling the United States, which
Yes.
in my opinion, yes, and that is a very spectacular claim, which honestly I think you should provide some spectacular substantiation for that.
So
You see,
I would like.
this is how it goes. This is how
I mean,
it goes, right?
if you want to say there's outside interests that have influence in the United States, that's fine. But
Because
we're still the ones that make the plan. We're still. I mean, it's not like us, America. It's the elites in America that govern.
Let me ask you one question.
That decide the
Let me
plan.
ask
It's
you one
Victoria
question.
Nuland. She's obsessed with Russia. If
Let me
she
ask you
wasn't
one
around,
question.
there probably wouldn't be half
This
the
is
shit
more
going
than a
on.
little bit. This is more than a
Let me
little
ask you
bit
one question.
retarded talking about.
What
Hang
kind of
on,
people
Mike. Just
control the country?
settle down, Mike. This is a bit retarded. We're talking like children, like this is a sport. Your
Okay.
analogy with boxing is right. You're talking about this like it's a sport and each country is represented. War is a business. This is a corporate enterprise. There are shareholders making profits from this from France, sure, and they're involved. There are shareholders from the UK. There are shareholders from everywhere. There are shareholders from Russia making good money out of this war. If you talk about this like it's this nation or that nation, you're very much missing the point. You're
No.
talking about it as though it's a sport instead of a business.
It's not about sport. It's reality. British control everything. Okay, this is the fact. Okay,
Okay.
you know who control America?
Europe and America are evil. They work together.
Mr. America is bad.
Mike,
Mr.
I live in
France
London.
is bad. And
I live in London. You know, UK doesn't
Because
control
you don't
London.
open eye to see what's going
UK
on.
doesn't control London anymore.
Huh?
Okay.
Mike just walked out of a time capsule from 1920.
Guys don't understand. Take a look at America right now, right?
Finally, if I may now, finally. Okay, I think we are mixing a lot of stuff. The project Ukraine, like Mike is saying, is not exactly what he is talking about. The project Ukraine in 2014 was actually the European Union. It is ensemble coming out from one of the worst crises they ever had. They almost split the European Union in parts in 2011. They needed a new expansion, and they used Ukraine for that. Every corporation, every little firm was expecting the signing of the special partnership with the European Union to go there and grab a little bit of something and make huge amounts of money. I know that for personal experience, everybody was making plans, and everything went down when actually the civil war and Russia took out Crimea. So that now there is something else, and what we saw about that something else it was a kind of, that's why I don't understand why you're talking about architecture, because what came after that was something made on your knee, like very fast. How do we react? How do we solve this situation? They were not expecting for Russia to take Crimea, and they were not expecting the civil war to happen in the Donbass. And they were also not, it was an oniric dream, thinking that Ukrainians will actually let the Europeans come and take everything for them. Of course, that didn't happen. That's a country ruled by oligarchs, and the oligarchs maintain everything. So if we are talking about what happened now, there is some architecture, there is some thought on it. And I think some countries were very unwelcome to go to war with Russia. And these are the countries that are more interconnected. One of those I see that was always against it was Italy. So take Italy out. The other one is Germany, although the new government was very anti-Russian, so they have some hands on it. The other one is France, which also profit a lot in times of peace with relationships with Russia. They lost so much money in Russia. So sorry, I can't believe they really
to Russia.
The really ones that were completely invoked and engaged in creating a war climate, which was like Bobby was talking about. British, like we know, the Baltics and Poland, and the United States. They were really happy. And this is all connected also a bit with Afghanistan.
Baltic are just the chihuahuas.
There was no big war in the world after Afghanistan. So they had, like Toby was saying, they had to go and make money. They had to find a place to make money. But still, we have to see, we have wartime industry, and we have not wartime industry that want peace, that just works when it's peace. And if you look at the countries that really were interconnected with peace, which is more important, it's France, Italy, and Germany. I don't see your point. It doesn't make sense.
Let me explain one thing here. You see, when I say British control everything, I'm going to break it down to the point that you could understand right now. You see, which kind of people control the country? Politicians. What control politicians? Media. Who own the media of the United States of America? Almost all the entire media in the United States of America was owned by which people? British.
No, corporations.
Since clear, it doesn't matter what you say. Since clear, right? Half of the United States media.
Okay, let's talk.
No. British always try to want everything up. They don't want people to explain things. Okay, since clear own half of United States media, then Rupert Madoff own the rest, almost the rest of the year. You will not see all the media was coming in the United States, right? Was coming from one people. British own all these companies. So when they write their news thing for them, they write everything they have to say to them in the United States. So now when they control those media, they control them, they control their politicians. If politicians misbehave, all they have to go is just go to the media and start blasting the politician. And media in this country, they are like a FBI. They investigate everybody.
Let's go further.
Okay.
Toby, go on.
Media investigate.
I was going to
media
ask
have your rights like FBI.
Mike, let Toby speak, please.
I was just going to ask a question, which is it even possible for a country, like if we talk about what is a country, let's just say the country is the elected people in a country, the elected government, so like the House of Representatives. Is it even possible for people in a country to stop the corporate war machine? Because the thing is, if you know anything about NATO and you know about how it's structured in the modern world and how it is, and how the EU is structured, a lot of the corporate war machine these days has actually removed itself from the control of the population. It's become separate from the elected part of countries. This is very true in America. You see the CIA and the military-industrial complex, they do whatever they want. You know, okay, there is an elected government. There's, you know, Trump was elected. What was he able to do? Not much. And it's the same in Europe. People go and they vote and they have representatives. What can they do? Well, they can stand up and make a speech, but they can't control very much. And when you have a look at the corporations that are actually profiting, you can talk about the shareholders, if you like, of the corporations. Sure, Murdoch is a shareholder, but he's a minor one compared to, say, the King of England or any number of aristocrats from all over the world. There's a real question about whether or not countries have any say at all, and whether or not it's even realistic to talk about countries. Countries have largely been sidelined by NATO. NATO and the corporate war machine carry on, and we're all just spectators. And it doesn't matter if you're American or you're British or you're French or you're,
By
from
the
Niger. We're all just
way,
spectators to the corporate war. And talking
by the
about
way,
countries is just a way of blaming whole groups of people. It's almost like racism. It's we're going to blame all the British or blame all the French or we're going to blame all the Ukrainians or whatever. It's a corporate war machine, and it's all about money. It's not about country.
I want
This
to.
is not about racism.
let's just remember one thing. Murdoch is not British. He's Australian.
He's actually American.
Nah, he's Australian
All those
American.
things.
He was born in Australia.
Let me tell
I
you
want
Smart
this.
enough to give
wanna
up
cut
his
you-
Australian nationality.
Since clear, all those guys, they are the one that control the media in United States. Okay? So whatever you hear from United States media, and the media control the people. Okay? No matter who they vote for, media manipulate everything. And this, whatever how they want things to go, is what they want the media to direct it. Media, no independent media in America again. They are gone.
So let me
Okay.
cut in. Let me
So-
cut in. So I want to
Wait,
explain
why-
there is different levels of things. So once you reach the level of the elites, okay, so social elites, we are not talking about the countries, not talking about politics. People who control the media or super rich, super powerful people, they do not have alliance. They do not have allegiance to any country. They don't. They just go to any country that allows them to operate as freely as possible. So which is why I have to push back or disagree in terms of the it's a British control. They don't. Whoever is at the top don't really care. So many of the billionaires move to Singapore, they move to Switzerland or whatever because they can operate more freely over these places. Many of them move from Europe to America because America is more free than Europe. It's just how it is. When that is the elite level, and it's not just one person or two person or one family. There is multiple different families that are fighting against each other. You have the Murdoch people, you have Jeff Bezos, you have Elon Musk. Then you have all the different billionaires fighting each other, and you haven't even explored the Chinese, the Indians, where we do not know enough. There is a lot of competition. Like Hollywood is now mostly owned by the Chinese, essentially. They can literally put the Chinese map, the Chinese version of the map into the movie secretly. So the competition is between the elites is cross-national, international. They don't really care about countries that much. Of course, they are working with certain governments because they have no choice. Like the Chinese, if they are in China, they have to be somewhat answerable to the Communist Party. They have no choice. There you have the national level. In terms of countries, there are different blocks. Every country have their own national interest. And I do not agree with the lapdog kind of thing. UK is using the Americans. The Americans are using the UK. French are using the NATO, the EU, and the Americans, but the Americans are also using the French. They're just using each other for benefits, but they are also competitors to each other. Since UK left EU, UK is essentially the direct competition politically. Oh no, Vaun is dying. Is a direct competition. UK and EU is direct competition. Come on, I need to mute him. I mute him first.
Why? One question: what the UK got to gain in this war?
So I will get there.
Everything.
So EU and UK, ever since UK left Brexited EU, they are now geopolitical competition, which is why the UK worked with the US to create AUKUS. That is the military part. And then they are also signing their own trade deals, all these things. UK is doing their part. And their engagement with Poland, with Ukraine is also part of this competition against the EU, the German-French-led European coalition. And then you have the Americans, which is a separate thing from EU. And then Americans are using NATO to control EU and control the French. And then all these things, all this crazy shit that is happening in Africa, all these military coup in French-speaking countries, they all have one similar attribute. All their military are US trained, like American trained, all of them. So the Americans are also undermining the French, because you have to understand that the Americans were the second-rate people from Europe. They are the rejected. The aristocrats are all in Europe. all the rejected or the people who cannot survive in Europe all go to America. They have this innate hatred for the Europeans, where they have to to defeat these Europeans, and the Europeans did themselves no favor by starting World War I and World War II. They weakened themselves. America take over, but it's not over. This geopolitical competition is not over. Germany is still very strong. Germany actually came back and controlled the entire EU for many years under Merkel. Germany is so powerful. France are still very powerful, which is why all these things. When Ukraine war happened, Germany is going down, and then France is holding back. You see, Macron is not pro-Ukraine war. If you notice, Macron is the only European guy that keep trying to call Putin and ask him to talk, to not continue this war, so that he's not going to have this problem. But of course, he's a bit two-faced. He still sent weapons to Ukraine, and that basically ended the conversation. Putin don't want to talk to him. And then now the African things happen. So these are all geopolitical competitions. I personally do not believe in the lapdog kind of theory. So it's like, even in Singapore, we have to look at the Americans, for direction sometimes. We also look at the Chinese for direction sometimes. But we do not follow blindly, to either ones. Perhaps except for the sanctioning on Russia for the Ukraine war. I think that's really stupid.
Drew is going to come in for sure. You're talking about China.
What said there is exactly why Norway had nothing to do with Nord Stream.
Hey, you shouldn't talk about that no more. Everyone knows what business your country's been doing.
No. So I'm not saying that Mike is wrong. I'm just saying that this is my perspective, how I look at the world, where there is different levels of competition between the elites, the super wealthy, in the business world, and then you have the other one in the country.
Now answer my question. Why UK got to gain in this war? And there's another one. What is France without Africa?
Okay, let me answer that question. You see, ask yourself one thing. This is UK. This is what do they produce? What do they have? Why their currency was so high? Why than other countries in the world? You know why? Because Russia, like I said earlier, there are so many things about Russia. Many things that want Russia to get out of Russia. Because Russia is a pain in the ass. Let me put it that way. They are like a nightmare to the Europeans, especially
Mike, you asked a question. I can answer that actually. You asked, why is the British pound so high? Well, one of the reasons is actually because after World War II, the British were so indebted to the United States. And actually through the IMF, it was one of the exceptions where one of the restructuring things that the IMF did was done through the currency specifically. And usually it tends to be devaluing, right? But here in the case of Britain, what they did was to force the sterling pound to be high, so it would not be able to compete in the export market with the dollar in the United States, who can manipulate freely still. And compared to the United States, who was the predominant power, they just took over the assets of the British, and then the British were allowed to operate thereafter. They became the subordinate ruler there. And then what the consequence of that for the British was that they had now an extremely financialized market where they had to find a lot of loopholes where their economy, where their financialization were adapted to that high currency, even though it's not reflective of what do they produce, right? Because that's a poignant question you're pointing out there. So yeah, it's just to that answer, to that question, my answer.
That's the loophole you just mentioned there. That loophole you're talking about is all this. Don't let anybody go against them, right? And Russia is a nightmare.
France is
British gave a lot of things up because of the Russian. They let a lot of things go because of Russia. British let Chinese go because of Russia. They let all the Asian go because of Russia is a pain in their ass, right? It's not just because Russian resources, but other things that Russia has been doing. The reason why America lost Vietnam, lost Korean is because of one people, Russia. So if they could get out of once and for all, get out of this country, it would be so much relief to them. Okay, because British still have a lot of assets all over. And again, if they will be able to break Russia, right, they will have access to all the Russian mineral resources. Okay, that is one thing.
And
who go first? have the largest.
Mike.
We let Vaun do his closing first.
Yeah, I gotta take off. I don't think I'll make it back unless it lasts for a long time. I just want to say, everybody watching, like, subscribe, and share. I mean, you can see we have a pretty diverse panel every week. If you want to look at BRICS or Africa or Ukraine, we haven't got there yet, but don't worry, it's getting there. I just want to close real quick. As usual, I always enjoy the panel. On Ukraine, Robotny is going to be bad news for Ukraine. I mean, they're pushing, but I think it's just a show. They're doing something so they can try to get more aid from the West. And also, I kind of think some of these units are just pushing so they can look busy and not get sent to Robotny. Stormer Mayorsk? That sounds like it was pretty devastating to Ukraine. So, I mean, I don't really think a whole lot's going to change. Maybe there'll be some pushing up around Kremenaya or Kupiansk. But I think Robotny's the bad place to watch. And as always, I enjoy it. Y'all take care. Have a good week. And I'll see y'all later.
Wakanda forever.
So, Voz do Povo.
Yeah.
Voz do Povo. I wanted to make a comment on what you said. France needs, Wagner forever. France needs Africa. And I wanted to tell you something. In 14th of December 2016, 14th of December of 1960, the resolution 1514 that recognizes the right of self-determination for non-self-governed territories. This allowed most of Africa and parts of Asia to become independent in a kind of more peaceful way. So why did the French and the British, with huge colonial empires, nevertheless, yes, they already lost a lot of country, a lot of India and so on, but they still had huge colonial powers, colonial territories. Why did they accept this resolution? Well, this is because they figured out a scheme, a neo-colonial scheme to keep working there. You see, keeping these colonies was too expensive, and they realized it. They didn't have, when the French and the British lost in the war in the Suez, it was clear. The colonial empire, France and Britain are ex-major powers. The colonial rule is over. So the new scheme, like you were saying, for France was France Afrique. They were making money, but it's still, France is a big country. It's a very rich country. So I think the French are keeping
France is not rich. France is not rich, brother. It's not rich.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a very rich country.
No. There's no gold mine in Europe.
To finish, and you go on. You see, Vosh, I think the French are the ones keeping all these old structures just for prestige. It's ridiculous. I think it's yes, they have a lot of economical interest there. A lot of economical interest, but it's pretty much prestige. I don't believe that many of these companies are really making money there. They are just, it's like, it's like the countries that built missions in the Antarctica. It's extremely expensive to maintain the bases in Antarctica, but Germans, even small countries, maintain their bases because they have this idea. Once things comes the moment, I already am there. I think it's the French are doing, but they are being pushed away. I don't know. Answer. What?
Yeah, but the thing is with France. My question about France, what's France without Africa? People always keep saying France is rich. France is not. France go Africa. If the Africans get rid of France, I'll give you 12 months. 12 months. France is gonna be the poorest country in EU.
No.
It can't be. No,
Straight away. Where is France? France gets everything from Africa. Basically, they steal everything from this country.
Not really. The French corporation, not even French people. It's a French corporation that did that. not those who are really
Oh,
corporations.
and who
It's a
run
corporation.
you know this corporation are the
Yeah,
are
and
the are the, are the ones
the
that run the
corporation might
country.
be in a France,
They run
but
the
they are not the
country.
French people.
They
It
run the
doesn't make French
country.
people rich.
If
It's the corporation that get rich
these
from
people
those.
if these people just fuck off, then France will have nothing at all. At
No,
all.
this is
I'll give you one example. Total Energy, right? That's the big French corporation, and basically they're there just to mine their various oil projects throughout the third world, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
see,
So this is
coming
even
back
one
to
of
the prestige thing,
we
wait a
as
second,
yeah,
like, wait a bit, Mike. For in order for Total, like, it's very interesting, the story of Gabon. They had everything for them, but they were not being able to explore. So they start giving the exploration contracts to other firms. Total were earning a lot of money, but they had a lot. They were buying stuff just for prestige, just to occupy, not really to explore, just to be there and be the first. Yeah.
They
Nevertheless, you see, guys.
yeah,
I
without
think
Africa, French will still be rich. That's a fact.
you know
Only the corporation gonna lose money.
They need Africa to produce whatever the fuck they
No,
produce in
no,
the
no, no,
country.
no, no. Without
Oh
the
yes,
African,
yes, yes.
France is still gonna be rich. France is still gonna be rich. Only the corporation gonna have an issue.
so
The
I want to
corporation run the country.
I want to chip in. So, which is where I
So-
come back to just now my point. There are the elites that is doing like what Mike say, the corporations. They're the one that are rich, not the country. When it is the country that is actually becoming rich, you actually see it like the British Empire, before World War One, or maybe so around that kind of the colonial era where the British Empire, you see every British person wear very beautiful, very sophisticated. Everybody have afternoon tea, like no need to work, that kind of situation. Yeah, that's rich. No, what we're seeing now today is it is the elites that are controlling everything. They are rich, the people are not rich. So it's not the country rich. So similarly, come back to just now, you're saying UK controlling everything. It's not the UK controlling everything. It's the certain elites are controlling everything. The UK as a country is still messed up. In fact, UK has been going down all the time. Socially, culturally, everything is going down. I know the image that, because I'm from Singapore, we are a former colony. So our image of British is always very sophisticated. They are very well spoken. We are still using some of the English that they used 100 years ago. But then they do not use that English today. We use the words that they don't use anymore.
Why? Not everyone in England speak like BBC,
Yeah, I know. But
You're
you
right,
see,
you're right.
during the old days, in the maybe 80 years, 100 years ago, that's how everyone speaks. That's why, the concept, the stereotype of the old granny have a certain way of speaking, like the Victoria, like the Queen Elizabeth, that way of speaking, because those are the old way of speaking English. The modern British do not speak like this anymore. No, it's no longer the way. They just speak in a very more casual way. That is the cultural decline, because they are no longer the kind of rich imperial empire that they used to be. So it's a different thing. So that's how I feel, and also about the UK currency being so strong. A currency strong or not actually depends on the government. The government, if they do not print that much money, the currency will just be stronger. And UK is a net importer of resources. They are a net importing country. As long as they have a strong currency, they can import things cheaper. So this is why their currency is strong.
Why? UK is rich, France is not.
Yeah, I'm not too sure in the details, but no.
So how
maybe.
many?
UK is rich.
Let me just
So how many
Okay, let's put
colonies
this way.
does Germany?
Let's put this way. UK elite is rich.
So
France
important.
elite is poor. Is that way?
How-
One moment, please. One moment.
So how many colonies Germany has?
Why you are correct?
How many
you
colonies
are
Germany
correct.
has?
You
How
are,
many
please, one moment.
colonies Norway
Euro,
have?
please. Euro, please, one moment. I just want to
How many
answer one thing.
colonies Sweden have?
No, let me answer Wyatt
How
first,
many
and then I'll
colonies
answer you.
Denmark have?
You're gonna have a problem with Hero because he have
He's
a
lagging.
problem. He's late.
How
You
many
know, he
colonies?
listens
It's
to you
all-
late.
Those are all-
The only way to stop
How many
him is
colonies
by
Japan
atrasado,
have?
por isso é que fica assim, é atrasado.
Those are
So-
very powerful
Why-
and rich
why-
countries that don't have colonies. So colonies
no,
don't
why
make
not?
rich countries.
Stupid,
Don't
bro.
colonies are not making countries rich. Some
Oh, they do.
but not
They
having a colony.
do.
Because, but how many colonies Germany has? How many colonies
Two.
Japan have? How many colonies Sweden have? Okay, do you understand what I'm trying to say? Colonies don't
Which
make
era?
countries
No,
rich.
wait,
It's
wait.
production.
You know, Sweden is rich for
Oh.
them. You know, for Sweden. Sweden can just go out and help other countries like the UK can.
Oh, Jordan, let me just you say production in a production line. How many things UK produce? That's the question. Compared to the rest of the world, or compared to the rest of the Europe, how many things
Yeah.
are they produce?
There's somebody in the chat, Kosar, making a lot of good points, saying Eastern Europe is a German colony.
Yeah,
Which is-
good point.
It was their empire. It was in Eastern Europe, and they had to expand actually.
Good
So
point.
having colonies was about having markets, assuring that in the future, if they didn't have the market yet, that in the future they will have markets. This is pretty much. But there was also a kind of a hysteria, especially after the conference of Berlin. They had to go as fast as they could to Africa. We are feeling actually this the same now. It's like Africa is going to wake up. Africa is going to be rich. We have to go to Africa. We really have to go to Africa. And the Africans are getting scared. No, not scared. They are just laughing at all these that's happening now. But in a way, actually, the colonies were more expensive to maintain with very little exceptions. And when it was an exception, it was really rich.
Pavel, let me say this.
You know,
See, you said
you know,
you don't want to
one
go
of
to
the-
Africa.
Does Singapore have any colonies?
Yeah, British. Uh,
Singapore is
Pavel,
rich for them. You know, they not gonna
you
just.
said something like Europe gonna go to Africa. This is not the first time. Europe was in Africa before. Europe was developed Africa just like they was developed Asia.
Develop what Africa? Mike,
Yes,
come
I'll
on,
tell you.
man. What Africa?
Can you just let me explain, please? You see, back in the days, right? You see what the problem Africa has is greedy. Okay, you see, when you get to black and black, people are more greedier than ever. That's a major issue with Africa. Like Nigeria, where I'm from, right? Back in 70s, early 70s to late 80s, Nigeria was developed with Europeans, German factory. They brought all those things to Africa. But our leaders back then, they cannot maintain those things. They cannot keep it up. Matter of fact, what they was developed, we are going the same rate as China at that time. Then Nigeria fell off the cliff completely. Because if you still go there, you still see all the mark of all those modernization, how they brought it back then in 70s. But due to the coups and others, right? But greedies, lack way convince them not to focus on the right thing and do the wrong things. So if even your country in Angola, go and look at the history, you will be surprised. You will be shocked how much Europe have invested in those African countries to move forward. You might be laughing about it.
Angola was industrial because of Soviet Union. You know,
I
the
think
only industry we had was because
You
of
don't
Soviet Union.
see it.
I saw the Soviet Union collapse, Angola, boom.
I think what Yuri's point is you know, it's manufacturing and figuring out those processes that really matter. And Germany's figured it out, and South Korea's figured it out, Japan has figured it out. Absolutely, he's 100% right. But with that said, if you don't figure it out, it really helps to have a lot of resources cheap. And that's where the laggards come in. That's where France and the UK and Spain come in, because they could never figure out production the way the Germans could. So the only way France competes, to Vaz's point, is all that cheap resources coming in from Africa, which helps prop up their economy. Not just the resources coming in, but all the jobs that they support, right? both in France and around the globe. But I think that's a point that Yuri's trying to make, is that it's the manufacturing that matters, which I agree. But certainly doesn't hurt having cheap resources and labor.
Yeah,
And market. For
I
your
agree
product.
with I agree with you. But all these countries, all these European countries that had the colony in Africa, they wish they had the French system. Trust me, the French system is fucking good for France. Basically, France gets everything for free. They pay
Not
80,
really, not really,
80,
not really,
80
not really.
they pay 80p for uranium. 80p for uranium. How much is that the price?
Okay,
The price
do they
is 250?
enjoy such cheap electricity that they get from uranium?
Oh,
Is the cheap price of electricity in France because they get almost free uranium? Do they enjoy it like that?
yes.
You're saying a benefit of having
They
such a cheap uranium? Is it cheap
France
electricity in France?
France has
Because they get
too much.
free.
France have too much electricity. You know what they do? They sell that electricity to UK.
Like I'm no nuclear engineer, but I'm guessing once you get the plant,
French people.
So I can bring a recent announcement. I can bring a recent announcement regarding uranium prices. So France paid 80 cents to the pound or the kilo, or I think it was to the kilo, to Niger, and this is a well below market prices. It's higher grade quality of the uranium, and it's well below what, for example, Kazakhstan and other equivalent countries sell it for. And so one of the responses that have been made very recently here from the transitional government here in Niger is that the price is going to be around, I think it was like drastically higher, $100 a kilo or something. Now, whether they're going to get to that point is kind of irrelevant. What is clearly signaled here is that this spot price that is fairly unique for France to be acquiring is no longer going to be the case. That is, when it comes to commodities and prices and manufacturing, like also to the point, Nunya, it's not entirely accurate that France wasn't exactly able to catch up with Germany completely in that sense. There were several reasons for that, but because France is still a very industrialized country, all things considered, but they have suffered just like the United States and Britain in particular. This is the thing I referred to earlier, where they were artificially forced to have their currency high. This hurt their own export industry and forced them to gradually debase their industry and move it abroad through the corporation, hyper financialize it, which is also the case for France, which has a lot of boosts from these artificially lower commodity prices they acquire from Africa. But one thing that should be noted, because Vash said that within 12 months it's going to be over. Well, that might be true, but it's actually more likely to take more time for the simple reason that France has also acquired a relative monopoly on the market there. That is to say, they are one of the primary buyers, the primary consumers to quite a lot of the cheap goods that they get. And yes, they may have to pay a little bit more in market price, but they are already well established. They don't have to develop their industries to accommodate that. So what they will have is a strong dip in their economy. How strong is hard to tell, but they won't. It won't be like a crash or something like that. They are already so well established that you won't see it. What you will see is something like what you pointed out with the UK, because that is, and Wyatt pointed out too, and I have seen that myself, having lived there. And followed intently the case of the recent times, and it was quite shocking how quickly things were deteriorating. And so, you would see something like that, I would expect. But that's
I just want to comment on Coping's comment. He's absolutely right at this point, and I was about to say the same thing. At this point, all of their costs are fixed for the most part. It's just maintaining their nuclear power plants. Uranium is a variable, component that comes in to help with, whatever the hell it is they're doing to make this thing work. I'm assuming that that variable component is very small in comparison to the overall cost of the plant, right? However, to your point, it's going to hurt because, well, they're used to, if you're what your numbers are saying is true, if they're used to paying 80% and now it's $200, they're going to have to absorb that cost. That's where the taxpayers will have to pay it. Now, but in the overall cost structure, shouldn't really matter too much. And it should, in theory, bring the overall global uranium price down because all that new uranium's coming onto the market.
The thing we also need to take into account is that
but what you're saying is about the price
stations being built around the world, that it is impossible that the French will have to come into this competition system. The Russians are building a lot of new nuclear stations all over the world. Huge one in Turkey, in India, in Egypt, and so on. So it's like the market has to happen. It would have been good for France to have some countries where they could do better business. As you say, Nune, actually the price of uranium, it's a very small part in the whole process of producing nuclear energy. There's much more expensive things in that industry than just the uranium, but the fuel for itself. But nevertheless, the thing is that the market is complexifying, and the French will just have to come to the open market, and prices will go up. But one of the things Corbyn was saying very well, there are just two countries that can really, and Germany, but they don't know what to do with the fabric and with the plant in Germany. There are almost just three countries in the world that can really refine uranium in big quantities to supply to several. And these ones are Russia, main and foremost, France, and the United States, with very low quality, the United States, unfortunately. But this is a problem. So France is not going to be out of business. No way.
Oh, they will, because they're not gonna pay the money they're asking.
Do French enjoy cheap electricity?
Prata. We only talking about. Okay. We only talking about Niger. We only talking about the uranium they get from Niger. Trust me, France gets that shit from a lot of other countries.
The point that Prata made, that I also try to make. When I refer to having a monopoly,
pointed to.
Wait, Euro, please wait. So when I refer to the monopoly, that's exactly what Prata pointed out there, because it takes time building up the infrastructure required to actually consume, for example, uranium. That one by itself. You can say there's more things to it than gold and whatnot, but who then is it that has the highest requirement? Well, you will find most of that in the tech industry and the artisanal industry that is already established in these countries, right? And so for that reason, like, okay, fine. Now you can perhaps dictate better terms. You can get to market prices, maybe. That's what you can perhaps expect, because you cannot actually just sell it to someone else. There are going to be a bunch of other nations jumping over. You mentioned Russia, for example. Like Prata mentioned Russia. Belarus also produces its own uranium, and it is able to acquire it from Kazakhstan. By logistic reasons alone, that's going to be more than enough. So by default, they're here. The Sahel countries, they are still linked in the economic system that predate the current times. It's actually from the colonial era, where they were structured to be dependent on the host nation by having like a very singular economies that were made them very easily dependent. And so for this reason, even if they are now able to dictate better terms, yes, it's of course better, no doubt about that. But it's not going to be like, boom, no, fuck it, we're taking $100 a kilo. It's likely going to be more like more closer to the regular market prices, because I think 100 was well over the regular prices. It was more like a signaling. That was what it was. And so France is likely going to...
By the way, Niger asking for 250.
French people don't enjoy the prices that those low uranium prices should provide them. right? But Wyatt pointed out is that elites enjoy benefits of those cheap uraniums, not people. People in France don't, or businesses don't enjoy the cheap prices that cheap uranium should enable them cheap electricity, right? It's basically straight prices of electricity throughout EU close to each other. So the French don't enjoy anything from those colonies. It's only that small number of elite that enjoy from colonizing
I
a
disagree.
country, right?
I
Yes,
disagree.
it enables them to structure the industry around it, because by having a colony they can plan for a long periods and expect to have it on cheap. So it don't, by being a competitor and is successful a competitor, it can easily to develop such industry. That's why, because it's so complex and expensive, it gives them a little bit of edge over other places, so that only three countries can do it on a mass scale. But people don't enjoy anything from the colonies, people themselves. That's the issue that
Well,
Wyatt pointed out. It's only
we
elites.
also need to note when comparing one country versus the other and their energy prices, the mix is completely different, because France is overwhelmingly nuclear, whereas another country might have a high wind component or coal or whatever it may be. So when you're trying to compare one versus the other, France should always come in lower because they've got, I think it's like 75-80% is nuclear, right? Which is way lower than some of these other ones. So I just want to throw that out there as well.
Yeah, the problem is how prices of electricity are calculated in Europe. Unfortunately, they created the unified market, and the French are very mad with it, which is like the most expensive producer of electricity. He dictates the price of electricity. The idea was, in order to make a green energy drive or be possible, they had to make the electricity prices as high as that guy could work. So these guys from these big corporations from the nuclear stations in France were making huge money. The French government was trying to bring it down, but nevertheless, they never really tried that hard to get it. So this is also the truth.
I just about to say that, because it's like they get, France can get the uranium cheap. But the thing is the price of the power, the electricity that the French are paying, I think is still the market rate. So they're just profiting more for these companies, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Mike, you were saying something.
They have to sell
I was saying is that
energy
the elites with something called trickle down. Okay, even elite is going to the elite. It's also trickle down to the citizen of the country as well. Whatever the elites got, it trickle down to them. It might not be much, but little trickle down. So that is one of the reasons why the
Is
elite
that
is
why
willing to
rich
take
get
the
richer
country.
and poor get poorer, because of trickle down?
Kind of, you could put it that way.
Is it because of trickle down that? Oh yeah,
That
that's a
is why we need
propaganda
more
that
elites.
rich
So
created in order
the more
to.
elites.
No.
I've been getting trickled
That's a
on since I've
propaganda
been
they
born.
created.
I'm no richer.
My God.
Oh yeah, you are.
I live in the UK, and my gas electricity company is French. The same company, I pay 5 times more than people live in France. The same company that sell me gas and electricity.
So is
Those
the
elites
UK guy that
created
selling you
huge
is earning the money,
propaganda.
right?
Huge
Sorry, Jordan.
propaganda. I always call the two economic theories. It's one is created for empires that they use economic theory, and other ones is for colonies. There's a different, complete different postulates, different paradigms in those two theories. One is that money doesn't matter; it's abundant and goes up and down as it needs for the economy. Another one, oh, it has to be fixed for the gold. Oh, you cannot spend deficit. Oh, that debt of the country is bad, because they want to prevent you from using the power of the country issued money to benefit people. That's why they developed such economic theories for the countries, for colonies. That's why you say in trickle down policy. That's all water raises all the boats equally. Like that's just for the rich to get more richer. That's all that philosophy created exactly for that purpose. And we should really be careful not to propagandize and how say strengthen such thinking that they propagandize us with, because we perpetuate such colonial mindset. And that's what Africa suffered from the most, believing in that value of the money, how the pound is so strong. No, it doesn't matter, because people cannot buy with their wages. That's what matters. How people, because the currency is stronger in Britain, the wage number is smaller.
No
Okay?
way, it's
Like
bigger.
in Germany, they make 3,000 euros a month, while in Britain they make 1,000 euros a month, 1,000 pounds a month. Average
Come
salary.
on.
That's a
Average,
difference.
average, yes.
That's what strange. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. So even though it's just 1.5 bigger than euro, the people don't enjoy that strength of the currency. What you call this, the currency is strong. It absolutely doesn't matter. What matters
But
is buying power of the wages of
even,
your
but
income.
you
That's
see,
what matters.
but
How much you
even
can buy
that,
your income. Comparing
even when
different
you say
currencies
that,
doesn't matter.
even when you say that, there is a lot of Europeans, guys from EU, basically from France or Italy, people that finish university, after 4 years studying, you know what they do? They travel to UK to work in a restaurant as a waiter.
And from
When
UK,
you
there's a
finish
lot
it,
of people
because
traveling to Europe
there is
and
no job,
working there.
in Europe. There is no job in
It's
Europe.
crisscrossing. They're
And
crisscrossing. You're just
here,
taking
yeah,
one.
you see the crisscross,
There's a
the
lot of British all over Europe
people. Yes,
working.
how much
Let
they
let boss
get?
talk. Let boss.
When they do work, they got the better jobs in Europe. And people in France finish university, come here to do cleaning. Look at the difference. You spend 4 years studying, and now you're serving tables.
Okay.
UK. This is why
You
I
see,
always say UK have power. France, no. France is a poor country. UK have power. Never compare UK and France. Two different countries.
I said something earlier, but let's say I agree with what Euro say earlier. Say there is two tiers of economy, one for the empire and one for the colony. Okay, that's one thing. And secondly, when I say trickle down, what I mean by trickle down is like you see in the empire side, right? Whatever their elite were able to achieve overseas, right? When they invest all those things in their country, like okay, but they took the uranium from Africa somewhere, maybe in a Niger or anywhere, they put it in a power plant in England or in France, generate power. People in that country will be able to have electricity cheap, or even if it's not cheap, but they will have a stable electricity. But in Africa, they don't have that. The bigger problem Africa have is greedy. The European managed to be able to trigger that greedy people out. They install all the greedy leaders. You see, all the African leaders, they have so much money, so much houses in Europe. You know, the richest black woman in the world is Nigerian. It's not enough. She's not come from America. It's from Nigeria. You know, the richest black man in the world is from Nigeria. They manage to put the greedy in people's. You would think those people will invest heavily their money in Africa. No, they will invest their money either in Europe.
Mike, actually, the richest woman in Africa was Angolan.
No, that was then. Now it's Nigeria. Look at it.
Only because some of her money is frozen, but you know she's very rich.
Can I ask you, Mike, if I'm kind of pointing out the facet here you think is relevant, and that is because you know, they can get the uranium cheap and they can sell it in their home market, right? And they can double tap on that. They can basically make money on it. They can have increased profit margins on the empire, right? But if you have the elites that are in, let's say, Nigeria, their assets generally, as soon as they get the money, they try to move it out in order to hide from corruption, what have you. And they also try to safeguard it by buying assets where, generally in the West or their host nation, right? Or their client nation. Right. And so, you know, when you say, well, one would expect them to be investing in Africa. Well, yes, that actually does make a lot of sense, but they have only been geared to actually exploit it. That's the way they have actually managed to get in that position in the first place. And they're so hooked up to the mechanism of actually moving all that money out that even if they wanted to, they would first have to upend the very thing that actually put them in that position. Right, and then it's also that it's a very long haul to go, right? To get their money can be frozen. Just look at Russia, right? Their oligarchs got their assets frozen, you know, and they were doing the exact same thing. You know, there was hardly any difference. It's a form of multinational corruption, and so yeah, you know, how do you get some parasites like that to actually be invested in actually your own country in a constructive manner that actually would industrialize it in a proper way and so forth? Honestly,
well, you know, let's just make a point here first. I think in some ways they are they're putting a lot into the countries that they're in, right? Because the companies that they have employ people and give them really high salaries, and there's a reason why France has a 30-hour work week or some crazy thing, and Europe, everybody in Europe has 6 weeks vacation, and France has the childcare. There's a reason for that, you know, it's because the companies can absorb that, okay, through those increased margins, because they're getting all this really cheap stuff from Africa. Once that stops coming in, all of a sudden those margins get squeezed. Shareholders don't like that. Well, all of a sudden things to get cut back. That's kind of where France is going to end up.
France is a third world country in Europe.
I'm lagging, so I'm always late.
This is a fight for the control of the market, especially the stock exchange the commodities market.
Why the Europe has such a strong social
manipulated? They will actually start having.
Why they have such a strong social safety is because they have Bismarck to explain
one of you need to stop.
To explain, to start pensions,
because these guys always start after me.
To you know, it doesn't matter. I'm lagging for like 3 or 4 seconds. My
okay, yeah,
you're more like 1 minute.
It's really lagging.
We make some purpose.
Yes.
We know this for a
you guys need to
long
scissors paper stone. You guys need to scissors paper stone to see who can get the talk.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, whoever wants to go.
Late. I can always choose.
Okay.
Choose what's the.
Go ahead, Yuri.
Yeah.
Choice.
The micro is here.
Why Europe? Why Europe has strong social safety net with vacation and all of it is because the management is not allowed to have such huge part of the income of the company, so they can share with the workers. While in US, there's no limit to how much management will take away from it. So they get even more bonuses when workers get cut wages. Wages cut, manager get more bonuses. So there's no limit to it by law or by taxes. Like United States had during the most prosperous time in United States in 50s, 60s, 70s is when taxes for the rich, wealthiest were 91%. 91% above $10,000. So that enables money that corporation earn to stay in the corporation, and then workers can take part of it, because managers were not allowed to take away it from it. So because management is allowed to take away more and more over time since JF Kennedy signed the first cut of the taxes from 91 to 75% for those wealthiest. It's started going down, and corporations are working more and more on the credit instead of the capital, because that's more prosperous for the bonuses for the management. And corporations are working more on credit for operating expenses instead of their own capital. That's switched over a long time. They learned that's better bonuses. That's how profit is better. This is what's going on. That's the reason. That's the difference.
It's over. So Nune, going back to the idea that the margins and profits is going to finish, this is actually a global trend, which is we saw for a while that, especially after the pandemic, the complete manipulation of the commodities markets, and this is also one of the big instruments of control of many countries around the world, especially commodities that come from Asia, from Africa, being paid extremely low, or commodities that need to go to Africa and are being sold at extreme prices, like grain. There is enough grain in the world. There is no reason for grain to have got so much expensive on the around 2020. But nevertheless, of course, they want to make money. The thing is that I have the feeling that what we are going to see now is a better, a more clean cut on the commodity markets, and this will make a big revolution in the world for more equality world or organization. So if we looked at what they were talking about in the G20, they were talking also about that, which is very important. And some of the critics about this G20 is the West is not able to impose their will anymore. They have to mediate it with the other countries as well. So what is going to be the crisis in the West, more than corporations, more than everything? Everybody will have to start paying the real price for some basic commodities. Not all commodities will be go through it, but let's wait.
Yeah, I want to
go on. But
no, I just now know, because you guys were talking about all the about the selling of all these resources. I also want to talk about. Just want to add also these French-speaking African countries have the same currency, and that is a big problem for them as well. They cannot become richer easily because they have no control over their currency. No, it's the same thing happened to Greece. Greece cannot really easily or properly get out of their debt, because there's just no way, unless Europe as a whole find Greece useful, and then they start to invest more. Like currently I think Greece economy is growing because everybody is stashing stuff. They're investing. I forgot what's the reason why they are stashing money into Greece. Otherwise, having the same currency is going to give you a lot of problems. If every single these African countries under the CFA have their own currency, then I think they will be able to get rich really, really fast. So yeah, but that's I just want to add this point.
This is why I said
I found the solution.
all these countries
I have a
in
solution. Go ahead.
all these countries in Europe, all these countries in Europe that had the colonies in Africa, they wish they had the French system, because the money this country they use in Africa comes from France. They have to open a bank account in France. Wherever they money goes straight to France. This country, they are not fucking independent. This is why Mali, he say, fuck off, France. Fuck. They even changing the language. Mali, they don't want to speak French no more. Yeah, they have a lot of
There's
other
a
languages, so they don't need French.
There's a solution to the not having your own currency. During the Greek crisis, I had an idea about how to get away from it, because even though the state doesn't control the currency itself in Africa, but their banks actually print the money, so it doesn't matter that the state itself doesn't control it so much, because there's a workaround. It's parallel currency. Okay, the parallel currency is, let's say, Greeks traditionally can use the euro, while state can print vouchers that are in value of any anointment. We enjoy it here in Croatia. We do here parallel currency vouchers that are just free money for pensioners. Okay, but the amount is really low. The idea comes from MEFO bills, which is used by Hitler to redevelop and restart economy. So by 1935, before the armament and all of it, basically there was no unemployment in Germany anymore. After having like 30% unemployment before Hitler, because he allowed his central banker, Hjalmar Schacht, to develop that parallel currency. That was intended only for the companies, not for people to use. Only companies to deal between them. That was used by Germany state to pay their public works. So whatever it's needed for the Germany, they will pay the companies with that, and those companies then will pay suppliers, their own suppliers, with that. So it's just for circulating the trade between the companies to pay their expenses. But if they need to pay the salaries to the workers, they would have to change it one for one with the Deutsche Mark. That's how Germany did it, evaded that ban on printing currency, and Greek could done that. So my basic
You wouldn't have
idea for
allowed that.
Greek. Oh yes, yeah, they wouldn't know that. Croatia, we are in EU. We doing it. We are doing it for
But
now
you're
for
not
like
Greece.
10 years.
But you're not Greece.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's
Anyway, what
it's
Croatia
just
got to
amount.
offer?
It's just
What
amount. How
Croatia
to
got
do
to
it.
offer
You
to
know.
the EU?
Today it's today in Switzerland there is like 8% of economy done on their parallel currency. You never heard about Swiss economy enjoying parallel currency, because it's only for the corporations, not for the people to use. But they do between 8 and 15% of the economy on the Vir Credit Bank. That's what it's called. Everyone can see there's one Italian video on YouTube. It's called Vir WIR Credit Bank System. Another one is in German. video. So there's two videos that explain how parallel currency works. That's
Yuri,
how every
Is-
Can I ask
country
you a
that don't
question?
control their own currency can do it. Yes.
Hey,
Can I
Yuri,
ask a brief,
question for you.
yeah, if I have just a brief question for you, is it the way you're explaining parallel currencies? Because would that be somewhat similar to how the mechanisms of zero money works, like the bank money, so to speak, money that isn't going in circulation? It's kind of just held in the bank. I forgot exactly the term for it, but it's basically locked out of
Base
the
money.
economy. It doesn't base money. Yeah,
Ba-
is it?
Yeah,
So,
not the same thing. Is just like separate system to allow corporation to have enough liquidity to continue working. Let's say when you don't have how bank credit system works. When corporation cannot sell their products, the bank will buy it off from them. Okay, and then bank will try look for the user of those products. So basically, the corporation can continue producing and skip one whole cycle and keep going working on, right? That's to prevent a shock and like crisis. How say, to prevent unemployment rising because corporations cannot sell their products because of some external influence or anything like that. So basically, the bank will just provide vouchers to people to get those products or services or something like that.
but
So it's
the
separate
example you used
management
with
of
Germany,
production.
the example you used with Germany, wasn't that then the state bank that issued those vouchers
Separate state-owned
but
bank. Yes.
to the
Yes.
public workers, not the corporations? So it was like you could use the same system mechanism to, for example, welfare or public social
Yeah.
services and stuff like that if you wanted.
Yeah, but this wouldn't be anymore in that currency when the bank prints it. So in Germany, the that MEFO bill bank would provide vouchers for free vacations for Germans. Okay, so they enjoyed a lot of vacations for free because they couldn't afford them, but the bank had plenty of those
Holiday.
offers. Holidays,
You
yes.
you are
So
European.
uh,
You not fucking
So
American.
so
Holiday.
So a
Okay.
recent, so a recent example of that actually being put into place, except it was even broader, where the use of vouchers was actually in Singapore, right? What? The during the COVID, the CF whatever you call that one. So that was a voucher where you basically, but now here Singapore did not use a different. Singapore did
But I
not
want to
use a
say,
different.
the voucher itself is still money. It's
Yeah,
just it's the same currency as the Singapore dollars. It's just that they limit where you can spend it. But it's not really a parallel currency because it's still money. It's still
right,
Singapore dollars.
and that's exactly what I wanted to ask you, Earl. So, like, if you take then that voucher that was used in Singapore, that was broadly ubiquitously applied, however, for a narrow range of commodities, necessity stuff, right? And you applied it, but you apply with it a double currency. Let's say something similar to what China has, except you have it domestically separated yet subdivision yet again. So, like, would that be like a are there many
that will be
complications with
like
that?
that will be like third currency when you direct spending of that extra uh, resource. Let's say you have extra resource and you want to speed up expenditure of it, you will give it for free, but you need a way to distribute it, so you will write vouchers and distribute vouchers to people for free, right? It's and the value that on a voucher it will be written the value of the voucher. It's always in a currency, in a traditional currency that it's so equivalent of the printing money, but
Well,
it's for free. It's given to people to direct spending, to direct. So
but
let's say
it also sounds to me just a couple of steps, or only just one step away from rationing. Like you just separate first separate money for what commodities, a set of
This
commodities you use vouchers for,
rationing
and then eventually just
rationing
take the money
is
part out of it.
rationing is opposite of that. The rationing is opposite of it, because when you get rationing plan, then you get rights to buy something only with vouchers. So you need to have vouchers and money to buy something. That's rationing then. But this is just vouchers given for free. There's no
No,
limit
no,
to how much you can buy with your money.
rationing does not necessarily prerequisite money. It is very often in a war economy, it's usually excluded because the financial system can actually not account appropriately for the massive shifts that are occurring in how to actually get the manufacturing going in the politically desired direction, right? And so that's why
You can do it
the
that way.
distribution.
Yes.
The money
do it that
basically
way.
distorts too much of the necessary distribution that is necessary for for society to function. And so in a war economy, rationing is very often without any money involved. It is
Yeah.
everyone gets it because everyone needs it, and you don't. And the money thing is just making a fuss of it, so we're taking it out of the equation.
But thing is, you cannot buy those things with money. You can buy it only with those points or vouchers. That's why rationing is opposite from what I explained. This is extra extra spending, extra using of resources. It's not to reduce manipulation of resources.
Right.
It's opposite of rationing.
But,
That's
but
why.
vouchers by themselves is an abstract concept, so you could definitely nuance that, where you have vouchers for necessities and then vouchers for luxuries because you have performed exemplary services, or how on. Like you can easily kind of omit money in like or integrate vouchers
Yes,
in the existing
you,
money
you
system,
can
where
direct
you can.
you can direct the spending that you want, that you need to help out. So you can direct it by using those parallel currencies or vouchers or anything. So when there's some excess of something, you direct towards it to spend it quicker. But let's say my plan for Greece was something different, because when banks print money, when they issue the credit, they print money. That's new money. When you pay back the credit, they destroy that money. That's the law. That's accounting setup in their computers. That's basic accounting. Okay, so that's what enables them to print money. So they have to destroy it after being paid back, right? So the solution for the Greeks, because that was their biggest problem, private debt. People were losing jobs and losing the how to say, the housing, losing the healthcare, because they couldn't pay off the loans that they had in the banks, and there was a huge bankruptcies and everything. And the solution to that is to print vouchers, like a value of 500 euros, and give it to each uh, citizen every month. But that voucher is valued only for that month, not for other months. Okay, and only you can use it for the to pay off a loan. And banks will take that voucher and destroy that voucher instead of the money. Okay,
Wouldn't that
so
wouldn't that
basically,
be the country, the government inheriting the debt, or the
no,
bank
no, no, no,
inheriting?
no, because banks have to destroy that money. Okay,
But if you,
so
because you use it to pay a existing debt, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So this debt have to go somewhere, right? So
No, no. You pay into the bank, and bank destroys it, record of it. That's how it goes. Because bank created when it gave you the money, they have to destroy it when you pay them back.
but they can just waive off the debt if they can just decide to
No,
pay
no,
off their
no.
own debt.
Only bankruptcy judge can do that. Only bankruptcy judge can allow bank to waive to erase the debt. Nobody else. Okay, and that's what's a job of central bank, is to control that banks follow that. You know.
But you can't do that because the currency is not yours. It's like, because the euros is not Greeks money, it's a collective money. So you cannot
Yes, you
just
can.
take value take the bet, because once you destroy that money out of nowhere, then you are devaluating the
No.
devaluating, or
You
no, is
create
it
first bank created out of nowhere. It didn't lend you someone else's money, or didn't borrow from the central bank to lend it to you. It created that money when it lended to you by credit card or any loan. And when you pay it back, they have to destroy it. That's a basic accounting
okay? So
of
I'm not going to
banking.
go there because I don't really understand the mechanics.
It
Do you
simply
want to change topic?
okay, go ahead.
Do you want to talk about Ukraine?
Okay.
Is muddy season is supposedly coming. What do you guys think? Because we have to put into consideration. Okay, this is a lot of people is telling me, the offensive is ending. Ukraine is running out of time. The problem is last year, Ukraine started their offensive in September and October. The big offensive at Kharkiv region, at the Balaklia offensive, the offensive in Kherson is all in September and October. At the moment where they are not supposed to do ops, but they did it anyway. So which is why, what do you guys think? Do you think Ukraine will continue?
That's kind of really good strategy to do, because usually after an attack or offensive comes counteroffensive or counterattack, right? So basically, by doing an offensive right before the rainy season, you prevent counterattack. Basically, it gives you enough time to settle and reinforce the new territories, organize defense of those territories. That's why they're doing it. They will extend it till the rain season. They will do it everything to extend it to the rain season, so that they get enough time for the before Russians can attack when Rasputitsa stops. So, but I just I was reading today that actually the plan is to get offensive keep going. This Ukrainian offensive to keep going until September 19, when Zelensky is taking a trip to United States to beg for more money and weapons. So by that time, they will keep everything to do it to keep on going and to achieve at least some results, and maybe Russians will let them so that they can get more help. And who knows? Who knows how it's gonna finish in next 10 days?
Because my thought was that the Ukrainians are having some momentum right now. They are moving forward. They are capturing more and more grounds. They are entering villages, and if they stop, then you would break this momentum. You allow the Russians to regroup. Then the next offensive is going to be very hard again, because now they took 3 months to break the Russians' lines. So the Russians' lines is now getting a bit wonky. Ukrainians are making more and more progress, and a lot faster than it was 1 month ago, 2 months ago. So, but if they stop now and the Russians can regroup, you don't even need to stop very long time. You just need to stop 1 to 2 weeks. The Russians will regroup to the point where it's going to get hard again. So, Nunia, what do you think, Nunia?
Well, here's what we know. I think that, it's not a good day when Antony Blinken makes a surprise visit to your door. He's kind of like a vampire that way. You don't want to let him in. So he went over for a surprise meeting with Zelensky, which we can only assume is bad news. I think that bad news is we're out of money, we're out of weapons. We got to wrap this thing up. So I think they floated that they're going to suspend operations because of muddy season. And they're going to move back to a defensive position, which I said that last week. That would actually be the better option for them. I think we're going to see that happen. And if you recall, they did the same thing last year at this time. They did the big offensive, and then they said, well, we think that the Russians are going to stop because it's getting winter and the grounds are freezing and whatever. And of course the Russians didn't bite on it, and they just kept on going. But they tried this last year as well. I think they're hoping for a pause for whatever reason, so that they can regroup and solidify defensive lines. The question is, will Russia allow them to have that? I doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think so as well. Coping, any idea? Coping, any opinions?
Apart from the points that have already been made, I'm not so sure that it will necessarily be of too much hindrance, because this is something that they're somewhat prepared for as well, both the Russians and the Ukrainians. So I do agree with Euro, though. Whatever counteroffensives the Russians are going to be launching is likely to be mitigated, but they are likely to be making sure there's going to be pressure there. Any newly conquered area is generally less fortified, because the fortifications have already been battered, and the troops have not been consolidated and haven't regrouped properly. Their logistic lines can often, in many cases, still be threatened in various ways. So those are generally more weaker unit. Like, these units are by default a little bit more vulnerable than any other places. So I do think, and also I am not so sure this muddy season necessarily applies so much at the Kupiansk front, because it's a very forested area, and I'm not sure if it is vastly different down there, but my experience is that if it's a lot of forest and so forth, you're generally not going to be bothered with mud. What you might have a problem with is your vehicles are still going to have an issue, but yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily going to be a deal breaker. I do also think that due to the intensity of the fighting, I'll just finish with this. The intensity of the fighting that be going on, I haven't followed the reports per se, but I'm willing to wager that even more of Ukrainian air defenses have been taken down, and I know the few times I've looked down, they tend to be losing planes. So, I mean, I would suspect that the Russians are feeling a little bit more liberated this year than last year when it comes to applying their air force. So, in this counteroffensive, they might be willing to compensate significantly more with the inhibitions and impediments followed by the muddy season by just simply applying more air force power and not necessarily sophisticated missiles and so forth, just merely pummeling the Ukrainians wherever they think they have mustered themselves into good positions. Because now that's exactly what the Ukrainians have done. Either they have committed themselves to resist the Russian pushes, or they have themselves been pushing. Regardless, wherever they have been, now you can just start applying the long-range things, and the Ukrainians are going to be one way or the other feeling compelled to stay and just take the beating or try to do an offensive in this situation. That is exactly what they were hoping was going to make it difficult for the Russians. So, yeah, I don't think it's a game changer. I just think it's going to be making it difficult for both of them. Now, who is going to be compensating best? My bet is on Russia, but who knows? Maybe there's some NATO Wunderwaffe coming in.
Peter Zeihan.
Yeah, Peter Zeihan, overblown, pushed by propaganda. Peter Zeihan seems like at first seemed like independent thinker, but then it showed his face with like really blowing China problems out of the proportions, and really parroting the usual expansionist Western line. That it's making all dramatic. Every sign is meaning something. So it's basically not really good one. I mean, I tried to follow him, but he's just like blowing out of proportion anything that's happening, even though it might be accidental or just for the purpose of pushing the party line. Let's say party line.
I heard a lot about him.
I don't have much. I don't have much to say about him, so because I don't know Peter Zeihan that much, but I have come across his name quite often. He's being referenced, especially in economic circles and stuff like that. And he's, from what I know, he's clearly a very wealthy and obviously influential person. So. It's just like Elon Musk tweeting and then boom, he can benefit from a stock or something. That's the same thing. And, it doesn't surprise me too much that he will be, it probably doesn't have too much to do with his opinion quite often when it becomes a little bit along the party line. It probably then has more to do with connections that are favorable to his already, business or whatnot. I'm just speculating here as a novice, obviously. I should point that out though.
Yeah, I don't know too much about him myself. I think Yuri summed him up pretty well based on from what I know of him. And I don't tend to follow people who are really far right or really far left because they tend to talk nonsense. And from what I understand, this guy tends to talk a bit of nonsense. So I don't know much about him.
For me, I always hear people quoting him. Like, they like to quote him, and the things that I see, the headlines I see on the YouTubes or whatever, is sensationalist usually. And it comes back to, the problems that, DPA is now facing, with the low views and, low interest, competition and whatnot. And people getting more and more, they prefer to listen to opinions and things that they feel more happy listening to. I think this is something probably is affecting him that caused him to go that route. Like, it's very difficult to stay objective and neutral because you are going to suffer because you're not taking sides. You're not taking sides. And in the end, everyone is your enemy. That's what DPA is currently facing. No, I'm not pro-Russian. I'm not pro-Ukrainian. So end up both is angry. That's what's happening. I post the latest clip and everybody is like, well, and it's not even clickbaity. It's not supposed to be even a clickbait. It's exactly what I think. It's like, is the line crumbling? Because that's exactly what I'm looking at. Every place there is some kind of crack here and there. But if you
honestly, for those kind of videos, you should really consider applying those pretty girl thumbnails thing, just to kind of smooth them up a little bit, to soften them a little bit before they kind of get into the emotional damage that you are to present them.
You mean Voz isn't doing it for you?
Voz, do you listen to Peter Zeihan? Did you watch Peter Zeihan's videos on YouTube? Okay. Yeah. He's pushed by YouTube a lot, basically.
Oh yeah, like that. Voz, are you familiar with Peter Zeihan? There was a super chat here. I just wondered if you wanted to. Okay.
No, I never heard of it.
So
maybe I did, but I don't know.
So the thing about when you are in the media space, especially something like YouTube, you have to understand how the algorithm works. People, as long as people saw your video come out and they don't click it, the video get punished. So, and if people go in and they listen to it and they don't like what they listen and they quit, you get punished. So it's a depreciating thing, It's like all the graph is depreciating most of the time. It's just getting worse and worse and worse and worse until nobody watches it. So that's why you'll see all the different celebrities or famous people, they will always double down and double down and double down to the point where there is no way back. If you look at Conor McGregor, look at Scott Ritter on one side, and then you have the pro-Ukrainians ones, like Denis Davidov or reporting from Ukraine or whatever. They will just keep doubling down and creating more and more ridiculous headlines or assertions, despite everyone is listening to the same sources. We are all reading the same sources, but they can come up with totally opposing, polarizing conclusions, and they just have to double down because there's your viewers want to get excited, and if you just keep saying the same thing, they'll get bored.
No one beats Dennis, it's just kaboom, big kaboom, kaboom, big kaboom. Just check his YouTube. It's like this, doesn't change anything. Big kaboom in Moscow, kaboom in Yeah, it's true.
No.
It's just lying.
So because what I did was that I used DPA War channel to follow all the most of the Ukraine war channels that they are reporting, be mapping or something closing to mapping, and I used the DPA War channel to follow all of them. What I realized is that reporting from Ukraine is putting a lot of pressure on Denis Davidov. Like reporting from Ukraine's now, their views is now similar or even higher than Denis Davidov. Despite Denis is actually the original pro-Ukraine guy. So things it very and the funny thing is that they are totally unrelated to DPA. We don't share viewers at all. So they are not my competition. they have their own market. It's a totally different market from me. It's a very funny thing.
Yeah,
I don't watch his YouTube. I just watch his Telegram.
Boris Johnson visit to Lvov, and he was there received with ovations by Parliament, Ukrainian Parliament. Do you know that that Boris Johnson was yesterday in Lviv? And I'm guessing that's what happened is because now they are announcing that NATO would provide defense of those Danube harbors that is used for a grain deal. Because Romania is right across Danube from those harbors, ports that are being decimated by Gerans. And the recent video is really good when they tried to shoot down 3 Gerans, and they keep hitting the targets. And no matter how much AAA artillery or guns will be shooting at it, they fly their own way. How say it seems like Romania is promising to defend those ports in Ukraine because it's just across the river. And also there's another fake report about, that remains of Iran drones were found in Romania again. So that now they're having excuse. Oh, there's multiple Gerans falling in Ukraine. We have to defend it. That's why it seems like that they're gonna provide air defense for the Ukrainian ports, and that's what Boris Johnson brought. Most probably, it's why their ovations are really, big ovations for him.
It's a big risk,
Just to answer the question that popped up, yes, I did see the Duran chat with Mearsheimer. If you haven't seen it, check it out. It was great interview with him. And what I loved about it is he and Alexander, they have such a conversational style. And it's like where, Mearsheimer's like, okay, I'm going to lay something out and then you give me your impression and then you do this and then I'll give you, like they've got like a really good rapport with one another. So
it was a good interview. It was a good interview, and I was surprised that it's like they knew what they were doing, like they've been working together for a long time. And I was surprised that they listened to each other, they've been listening to each other for a very long time. It was a good interview.
I haven't checked it out yet. So I think I will go and check it out. But I like Mearsheimer.
That's proper geopolitics, the best one I've seen so far in a long time.
Because my worldview actually is very similar to what Mearsheimer says. He's kind of like real politics kind of style. So he's my in terms of Americans, geopolitics analyst or guy. His is the type, the direction that I'm actually in. So I will look into it.
Yeah, someone in the chat say we should give some credit to Glenn Diesel. That's true because Glenn Diesel put this together.
He's great too. He comes off as a bit wooden sometimes, and I guess it's just how he speaks and translates stuff. But he knows his stuff for sure. He's very knowledgeable in European history. like one of the best, no doubt.
I can tell you, him being a Norwegian, I can assure you he got a whole lot of flack for just saying, this is the situation. He was just clearly not taking side. It's just like, oh, but here, blah, 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 starting to get accusations and this. I came across him actually more on other podcasts because he was mostly just shamed, in the media and posed as, someone who was quite partisan. I agree. This guy, I was surprised actually to see him on the Duran. That was a surprise to me. I actually don't watch the Duran very often, but that was one of the few times that I did listen in because, he's sort of like, Stoltenberg is very it's very shameful for a person like me. It's very bad for my coping. Glenn Deason is very good for my coping. I fancy him being my fellow citizen. So I'll just finish.
Yeah, it's been on Duran 3 times now.
Well, I like Glenn on it, but I think to your point, I don't know why the Norwegians would be angry with him, because if you watch him in his role on the show, it's more so to support Alexander. But Alexander is the one who's, talking with the guest primarily, and they're formulating whatever the narrative is. He's usually just there throwing facts out. So if the Norwegian people don't like facts, I can't help you, And he, like I said, he's one of the best at that. So, what do you do?
Is it Norwegian people that try to cancel or decent or media or the media machine or state machine that try to cancel this? Who is actually? What's the opinion of Norwegian people?
The media does so as well, but the Norwegian population, like the Nunya was alluding to, are they hostile towards facts? Facts that they don't like, they can be. They have no shame about being selective about it and embracing the hypocrisy thereafter. Because inevitably, first they move the goalposts, and then inevitably they have to kind of reconcile that they're having two paradoxical positions, right? They're virtue signaling in one direction, but what they're actually supporting is the opposite. But that's of course those facts, because you see, facts are not just facts. Facts they belong to a party. So if it's our side, then it's the right side. That's a good facts. But if it is on the other side, or if it's something that we did not want to hear, or the media and authorities have already espoused that we should be thinking, then it is misinformation or something like that. It's bad facts. It's mean facts. Ooh. Okay. So it's so mean, in fact, we had to shut down RT. Cannot even let any Russian media come over, because Russian propaganda apparently is so dangerous. It will take over our minds and just suddenly make us want to, I don't know, invade Ukraine or something.
And Norway had nothing to do with the Nord Stream, right?
No, of course. That's a different. That's just conspiracy theories, but that Norwegians would be reacting like it's actually quite shocking how people could be reacting to the situation down there, getting so emotional about it and having barely any fucking clue, any clue really, and the things they know, they are so that are basically somewhat factually correct, are so out of context and so clearly politicized, and they're so blatantly blinded by their confirmation bias. So it really just boils down to I don't feel like it, I don't like it, and then just dismiss it. I say all this not to diss Norwegians. I'm saying this to the North Americans and Americans in particular who tend to be bashed for being the butt of all jokes, for being sort of stupid and kind of ignorant and all superficial and vain and all that kind of stuff. Don't you worry, we are right behind you. We are trying really hard and we're doing really well. So you're still number one.
When you're talking about freedom of speech and people have the right to say, everyone thinks UK is the best. That's not true. Look at everyone who lives in Russia, rich people that live in Russia, or rich people that are pro-Russia, they don't have YouTube anymore. All of them, YouTube gone. First, they starting just banning them, and then one day, all of them gone. If you go to RT, you done. Look at Nigel Farage. They try to cancel him. They close his bank account.
Crazy, right?
Everyone was like, "What the fuck? Yeah, what the fuck?"
Yeah, it's crazy.
The only reason
huge
is got his bank account back. Yeah, he's a big politician in the UK. He never been an MP, but he's a big far right. He got a big fans here in the UK, and they try to cancel him. The only reason he got his bank account back is because there is someone in the Conservative Party that doesn't like you. The Prime Minister, put that thing in Parliament, and after that, the CEO of NatWest, the bank he was with, got fired.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of Nigel Farage, actually. So
there is one that lost his nationality. He's not British anymore.
Yeah, so I'm
Just
actually a
because he
follower
was
of
talking
Nigel
about
Farage.
Russia.
Yeah, I'm a follower of Nigel Farage because I agree with his position. Like even for Brexit, I feel that UK going Brexit is correct, because it's a sovereignty issue, and just that I what I don't like about Nigel Farage is that he don't get involved with the local politics. He should have run for MP-ships, even run for PM. Then he can actually follow through. So what he did was that he's like what no, he brought UK out of the EU, yes, okay, and then he just let UK die outside of the EU. No, you should follow through with your entire plan.
Trust me. Trust me. He tried so many times to be a politician. To be an MEP. He's never got the vote. Wherever he's run, because he needs to change. He needs to change the place. If he want to be elected as an MP, he needs to change the place because he's more popular up north. If he's going to run down south, no chance. No chance.
Now, Mick Wallace and Claire Daly are doing his job in
no chance.
EU
In Scotland,
Parliament.
no chance because
they replaced him, but they're doing it in EU Parliament. Mick Wallace and Claire Daly, they're doing the same thing, criticizing what Parliament is doing to EU. But for Britain, it's basically non-issue being in EU or not. But it could have been part of the plan that this was going to happen. So Britain wanted to get out of the EU because EU is gonna be like really subdued by all this. Now it has more freedom, but it was the fake excuse that it's because of the immigration that are taking the job. Now that didn't stop, right? When Britain is out of the EU, it didn't stop immigration. It's because that's basically each individual country policy, how much immigration is going to take. It's almost independent from EU policy. Yes, there are some recommendation by EU how much immigrations could be received, but it's almost independent. It's not an issue, It's like for Croatia, how much it took. It's independent from the EU recommended policy, I would say. But you see, if Britain government wanted to improve health of the British economy, it could have done it inside the EU. It can also do it now because it has all the power. It can do it. It doesn't matter if they're in EU or outside. It's simply, it's not so important it's all fake. The stories, what's going to happen if it comes out, or that is going to improve the immigration, all of it. Nothing changed because government keeps doing its own thing. It's not improving the position of the working people. It's improving position of their own elite. That's all they do. That's why it's not important. There's gonna be no change now that they exited the EU. Absolutely.
This is why I have a problem with Nigel Farage. So because he created such a huge campaign about bringing UK out of the EU, but then once he done that, he just leave politics and and there is a lot of problems when you leave EU.
It took
and
him
you leave
18,
the problems
right.
for someone else to solve.
It took him 18 years, 18 years.
Yes, but that is only half the job.
Work really hard. Yeah, but the problem is he's never been an MP. He needs to be an MP in the UK. He has no say in the UK Parliament. Trust me, everyone here in the UK hate the guy. But when I say everyone, I mean people from London, Birmingham. This place is down south. Up north,
but the thing is,
this guy is like God.
You see, he almost ran. He almost ran because he was threatening, then after that they make a deal with the Conservative, and then they actually won the election and whatnot. So the thing is, he could have do something more.
The thing is, he has his past. He has his past. It's called UKIP.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is, BBC called him racist. His party is racist. There's no chance. How you gonna win an election against BBC and Sky News? He has no chance. Yeah, that's why I say if he wants to run as an MP, he needs to go up north. I'm not saying people up north are racist. They just love their country, These are the people that vote for Brexit. These are the people that vote for Brexit. Even places like Labour was winning in the majority for like 42 years, 45 years. Yeah. When we went to vote for Brexit, these people vote, let's leave. It's not because of the EU laws. It's because of immigration. And when I'm talking about immigration, I'm talking about European immigrating to the United Kingdom. If you could see, like 5 years ago, this country, London was like Poland. Polish were everywhere. If you see 5 people in the street, 2 of them are Polish.
So basically, you wanted to prevent Polish from entering and instead take Turkish and Syrians?
Turkish, the people here, but there's not enough. The problem is...
Pakistani.
These people are, this is the majority here in the UK. The problem is Polish, Bulgarian, and Romanian. And the system in this country, once you're in, you get the benefits, everything, So these people were like, wow. So now they're getting the same thing as me, and the benefits not different. If you are rich or not,
weren't working,
they were just the same for everyone.
Benefits. They weren't working, they were just getting benefits. Is that
and some of them, when they are applying for benefits, they applying like for 7, 8 people, they go the birth certificate and stuff. People, they don't even live in the UK, and claim benefits. People were getting like £2,000 a month just on benefits. And some of these people, they don't even live here.
Now I know why. Why UK mess with Ukraine now. So because UK mess with Ukraine, so that the Eastern Europeans can go to Ukraine. They wipe out the Ukrainians, so that the East Europeans can move into Ukraine. Don't come to UK. I give you Ukraine. We have cleared it out for you.
This Logis and super chat. Yeah,
Lucky said.
the thing
No,
about
actually,
Someone,
the reason I held my finger was because of a super chat, yeah, a previous super chat. So if I could just answer that one, because it was a specific question to us regarding state media and what I find interesting to watch.
Oh,
And um, so he was asking something from India. Now, let me be clear. I'm not pointing out any recommendations, and I'm going to give caveat to that after I've given some of the things that I know about. I know Vion, WION, is an Indian-based news organization that's pretty big, and they're fairly professional. I'll tell about them later, because the same applies for them as I think TFI Global. I think they have a couple of branches for some regions. I advise them mostly for headlines because they have many quick, short videos, but their takes are not my style. And then there is one thing called First Post, which is actually sort of, I'm not sure if it's a spin-off from Vion, where the one of the most popular hosts there, I think Parma something, she kind of hosts often on what is called First Post, and all of these you can find on YouTube, by the way. So now, note the thing that is to note with all of these is that they're from India, so they're going to have their Indian bias. So this is one of the reasons I kind of like to watch them, because or listen to them sometimes, because their take are always going to be trying to, like, they're always going to have a bias against China, for example. So when it talks about Africa, for example, they're not going to be trying to China is the savior or anything like that. They're going to usually be trying to uncover what they do shady, right? The same goes for So that's kind of my kind of suggestion when it really boils down to it. Like, I could point out to these news channels, but that's not really the suggestion. My suggestion to you is that you kind of try to acquire their bias, because everyone has a bias. It's unavoidable whether we like it or not. And then you can kind of when you see where they're coming from and if they have an agenda that they really want to be pushing, then fine, because you can always see the thing is that while they might be wanting to be omitting their own shortcomings and so forth, they are certainly going to be very keen on getting the actual facts. Anytime they can get real facts on the opposition, they will plaster it, right? And so, which goes back to a point that I'm going to stop this ramble, but back to a point that Vaun had made before, right? Show me these casualties, show me these war crimes, right? We have drones everywhere, there are phones, there are long distance cameras, there are satellites, etc., etc., etc. You can find evidence for it, and then it will be shown. Of course, in the Western media, you will not be finding that if it's adverse for Ukraine, but they will show it if it shows Russian casualties, right? So you can use Western media for that to some extent, and vice versa. But I'll just stop that one.
I just want to add to that to the list that's already there. I would also add I follow France 24 out of France, obviously, DW News out of Germany, as well as India Today out of India. And I've always said, if you really, really want to understand what a country's position is on something, subscribe to the United Nations channel and watch some of the sessions that go on. They film them live, right? So you can watch a UN General Assembly live or a Security Council meeting live, and you get such valuable information just understanding from the source. This is our policy position, straight from the source. So I encourage you, check out that channel as well if you haven't.
And if I may add to that, one thing that tends to ring true is that if you want to be going, you find something, a topic on the mainstream media. If you want a more accurate version without wanting to dig too much, you still stick within, media that you can refer to anyone. The one that I think I would suggest you usually refer to for people who are very skeptical of any sort of news that are independent or whatnot, is that you try to use financial news sources and business. Because their clientele of their audience, while they may still have to spin a little bit propaganda, their clientele and audience, they have they have actually real tangible interests that this pertains to, and so from that, you can use that as a reference, and if you can translate for them And you don't need to become extremely financially literate. You can often find criticism tied to these about these that refer to economic things, and then you can kind of like, okay, get the surface understanding to so you understand, and then you can let others understand that, you know what, there's a little bit more to it here, not like to what they're saying here. They're saying that, but look where the money's actually going. Look at where the money's talking, right? So that's another suggestion. That's what I usually do to kind of, if I want to have some skimming and get it easy, like, okay, where are the connections there? Cool.
Yeah, someone in the chat just said that I'm representing UK. No, I'm not. I just live here and I will just say things that I see. I'm not representing UK. I love living in this country. No one forced me to come and live here. I love the United Kingdom. It's just a shame that the government have no idea what the fuck they doing.
Voss, I want to ask, in the UK, going to election to vote, is it compulsory?
What do you mean compulsory?
It means elections. Do you must vote, or you can, like in the United States, you can don't vote?
If you don't want to vote, don't vote.
But will you? So in Singapore, what we do is that if you don't vote, your name will be removed from the register, and then you have to re-register yourself into the voting roll before you can vote again. So
okay, yeah.
So but in the US it's different.
The thing is, when they know when you vote and when you didn't, so they're gonna keep writing to you. Just make sure if you live in the same address or something.
So why is the
like Australia? There's a charge. There's a fee if you don't vote. Also, on taxes, there's additional fee. Yep.
Any idea why is the voting turnout for in the UK? Like how many % of the people get to votes?
There was one thing. In 2017 was one of the best elections I've seen in this country. That was the one when Jeremy Corbyn almost won, because everyone was really into that guy. A lot of young people. And then, when they see a communist or socialist trying to win election, someone who is anti-NATO, they were like, wow, this guy, he can't. We need to do something. I don't know what happened. We just starting. When you see, this country is fucked up. The election is supposed to be every 5 years. There was election in 2017. The next one was 2 years after, because the country was going backwards. It was because of Brexit and stuff. Boris Johnson couldn't get his way in the parliament, so he called it another election. That election, the United States said, if there's a documentary on Grey Zone, if you want to watch what happened, yes. Jeremy Corbyn, they knew, everyone was like, wow, this is your chance, Jeremy Corbyn. Go and get them. United States, not so fast, Jezza. What happened? The media started talking shit about Jeremy Corbyn like he's fucking racist. He hates Jews and stuff, Everyone was like, what the fuck? This guy was standing in Trafalgar Square by himself when Nelson Mandela was in jail. He was the only one. He was starting that thing, You call him racist and stuff. Yeah. And now he's not even allowed to run as a member of Labour Party. And I've seen a lot of young people say, I'm not going to vote. Like myself, I'm not going to vote in that Labour. There's no way I'm going to vote that guy to be, I'm going to waste my vote. Nah, I'm going to stay at home and watch that them. They're not going to change anything, It's not going to change anything. Richard Sunak or that guy is going to be the same. So, fuck it. And a lot of people are the same. Unless there is a different party, yes, everyone is going to follow them.
Oh, that's a
because
headache.
in the parliament, they all sound the same. They all sound the same. There's no one just like, okay, you are wrong here. Let's do this. They don't even not even think about the people anymore. They just wanna be. Maybe it's my time to be next prime minister and stuff.
That sounds very problematic, right? No, because that's the only way you can change the country, but you have no one to vote for. Is there no third party, fourth parties, those small parties that is doing
There's a lot of
no represent?
there is a lot of party, but you see the German Green Party. The Green Party here, there is only one member in parliament of Green Party. Yes, but
Can I ask
basically
a question here? You guys who tend to have a not too dissimilar from Norway, right? You have two predominant parties that are ostensibly, countering each other, but they're usually very similar also in most regards. They may have coalition governments and whatnot, but if you take Britain, which have had several exchanges of prime ministers with no election whatsoever, that involves the Constituent Assembly, right? It's just within the parliament and usually within the Tories themselves, right? And so the notion that you're gonna if you then have you have like this Corbyn dude squeezed out through political machinations and slander and whatnot, and then you have this alternative Labour presents, which is like Rush says, you're just going to go home. You're just not even going to bother. Well, I was just wondering about this. What do you guys think about this alternative here, where those who are of smaller parties and whatnot, they also kind of join together with maybe those who are from those major parties already, right? So let's say you are from Labour. You join together with the people of Labour who are dissatisfied with the policies, because if it's one thing that I can recall, during the Trump-Biden thingy, was that most Democrats were not particularly enthusiastic about Biden. It was more like, no, because Trump is so bad. That was really the only thing that was making them choose really Biden. Even though many of them would even recognize that the primaries were rigged against Sanders and all that kind of stuff. They would be like, well, okay, but I'm still kind of because of the fear mongering, right? But how much do you think that fear mongering is shattered if you suddenly have people, especially from across both of the major parties? Because both, in the UK, the Conservatives would have plenty of reasons to be quite dissatisfied with the Conservative government as well, right? They haven't had any, they might still be touting some of the values, they might still be partisan and whatnot, but that doesn't mean they're satisfied. If they got prompted the idea and the option and the mustering and the call for basically boycotting both, right, until they actually start finding mechanisms of accountability to their election promises, for example, and many other issues, right? Because you can of course just stay home, but then of course nothing happened. You can vote, and then something happens because you have given power to them, or they will just take the power because proportionally, again, nothing happens. However, if you boycotting their election is not exactly a novel thing. It's something I think the Lebanese did as well, where they went ahead and they went actually quite far. Both them and the Chileans, I think they went as far as demanding the whole parliament to be unseated and the constitution overhauled. I think it was like they wanted most of it just like, no, we want a new constitution. This doesn't work for us. And so many shades to go by. Britain seems like one place where it seems ripe. It seems like one place where boycotting both parties, based if only purely on the reasons that I just mentioned, then many of the other social reasons that you have already outlined, and I know many of them as well when I lived there. High crime rates and knife usage among teenagers, for example. That was something that was kind of viscerally apparent. And that's Edinburgh. So, and as far as I understood it, like Manchester and London is significantly worse. So,
Because I was thinking, if let's say that you don't have an option, like good options, and then the two main parties or three main parties keep changing or swapping, or there's no political stability. like nobody is satisfied, then the government, the civil servants, the deep state, so-called the deep state, will be very powerful because no one can control them because your boss keep changing, right? So you become the ultimate boss because your boss keep changing means you will be safe because you know everything they don't know because they are always changing. So, Voss, does UK have a deep state problem?
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Because we don't heard much
Come
about
on.
deep state in
It's
UK.
easy. It's easy. It's easy. I just told you about Jeremy Corbyn show. Jeremy Corbyn as a prime minister. Forget Jeremy Corbyn. If you want to see the deep state, just a few weeks ago, someone said you should be more grateful. We know, like Amazon, you just ask and we deliver. What happened to the guy? Remember that guy who said that? We know, like Amazon. It was the UK. It was the UK Minister of Defense. Where is he now? He's not a politician anymore, and he's gonna give up his seat as an MP.
The latest one, the
He was
latest
told,
defense minister, right?
yeah, he was told to fuck off.
I think I heard the story was that he clashes with the Americans, and that's why he got removed.
Yes,
Like,
yeah, he's part of the deep state. The other one is the other one is when Rishi Sunak was running, because he was running on his own party to elect him, and everyone was like, it's gonna be him or Liz Truss, and they put Liz Truss, and then everyone, even Boris Johnson, came back to run again because Liz Truss was nah. This one is fucking the country. We're gonna have another one. So, they were like, listen. Liz Truss was voted. Liz Truss was voted by the party.
yeah.
Rishi Sunak was appointed. You see the difference? When
Oh,
everyone tried, when Liz Truss, yes, when everyone was trying to run against Rishi Sunak, they were told, fuck off, leave him alone. And then they say, you are the new prime minister. No one voted for him in his party. He was nominated as a prime minister.
By who? The
This is
parliament
the
or
deep
by
state.
the Conservative Party?
Oh, no, by the people on his party. Because Boris Johnson was running again. Boris Johnson was on holiday, came back, and he's starting getting people together to vote for him on his own party. And then they was told, no.
Ah,
So
You have no place
were
here.
they doing something different? Were they doing something different? So they replaced because they didn't do what, or they doing all the same things, just as it doesn't matter who's prime minister, but they keep doing the same thing. Why would they be replaced? Your point is that because Liz Truss was voted in,
Liz Truss
she wasn't doing what they wanted. So what's your point? That's my question.
Yeah,
Were
my
they doing
point
something
is,
different?
no, they just want someone,
Okay.
to take
So
Liz
it
over
doesn't
Liz
matter.
Truss. That's it. Yeah, but they didn't want like Boris Johnson back. There was another woman. She was supposed to be. Basically, everyone was like, she sounds like a prime minister. She's good. She knows how to. But the deep state was like, this guy is rich and he knows economy, so no one needs to vote. You are now the UK prime minister. Everyone was like, wow, at least Liz Truss was voted. This guy is different. He was nominated.
So this is where I have this.
The thing, I'm not saying the Conservative Party is racist, but
But it's racist.
most of people, far right people, they know they don't have chance to get elected MP, a far right MP, so they vote Conservative. And now all these people who hate non-white, they always come out and say, he's not my prime minister. I didn't vote for him. He's not my prime minister.
So you know why
Everyone
I
knows
was asking
in
about
next
deep state?
election.
So I was asking about deep state
Yeah.
because I find it surprising that every single prime minister since Boris Johnson changed, like Liz Truss and then receive this Sunak guy, it's weird because why is there such a unanimous support for Ukraine? I don't get it. Like, if let's say you are focused on economy, you know that UK economy is going to hell, and then it's like you got to fix the economy. I think the first thing you would do is to stop providing arms and money to Ukraine because that is wasting your money. It's like that is just a natural thing to do if you really focus on the economy. But then weirdly, this businessman who's supposed to know economics the best come in and continues to send weapons to Ukraine. I was like, so it's like it's just like America where there seems to be a deep state where it doesn't matter who is the leader, the policies are the same. That's
what's even worse.
That's the deep state.
That's the deep state. They gave up their tanks. They gave up their tanks, basically in accepting Abrams. So it's American production. They even gave up their own production of the armament. It's unbelievable that they're giving away their tanks and will not be able to produce it, not have maintenance of it, which is more money than just selling one tank or one weapon system. Maintaining it is more money. It's consistent long-term money. It's just crazy. It's like Germany is just giving away production of Leopards because now everyone is just taking Abrams, and because they cannot produce enough of it to cover what was given away, and they will have to take it from Americans, basically Abrams. So why? I mean, that's even worse than just making your economy harder by losing the cheap resources. I mean, it's a complete. Well, that made me realize that basically since Second World War and American bases and controlled Europe, they actually never left. They never left. Not by army that never left, but also the mindset of controlling the Europe never left. So basically, they controlling and dictating everything.
Like I just saw the headline that UK has confirmed that they will continue to reduce the manpower for their military. And then this happens at the same time where they say, oh, Russia is a massive threat. We need to be prepared for war against Russia, but we will reduce the size of our military. I was like, what? Like, is Russia a threat or not a threat? I'm so confused, Like, your actions doesn't match the words. So,
Yeah, but I don't know where you get your news, but I'm telling you one thing. Please stay away from the Telegraph. Please.
Telegraph.
Yeah, okay. Please. Stay away from Telegraph.
We don't know how much.
If you want comedy with the Sun or Daily Mail, yeah, but stay away from Telegraph.
I actually like Daily Mail. Daily Mail is a tabloid style, but the thing is, it's not too bad. But it's not too bad. Sometimes the way the things that they dig out is actually accurate. It's actually correct. So Daily Mail is not too bad. It's entertaining, but sometimes of course they still but it's not that bad. But a lot of people don't like the Daily Mail.
Daily Mail is like if someone they're gonna find a profile of someone, they're gonna go deep. Someone like they trying to find some dirt on you. They're gonna pick up your uncle you never ever met. You don't even know if you had the uncle. Yeah, they're gonna come up with story of your uncle. He was drunk and stuff. Daily Mail is. You don't mess with Daily Mail. Don't mess with them, because if they don't like you, they're gonna find a nice profile for your life. And trust me, they know they're lying. and they're not gonna change it.
Actually,
They're gonna go
boss,
ahead.
you will appear in the article that you are actually my long lost uncle, from the another father. You'll be that cousin.
Look what Daily Mail did to the Prince Harry wife. It was hell. It was
There was that
hell.
super chat from Logizen about Elon Musk.
Elon Musk. Oh, this one.
Yeah. About Elon Musk, I think they're actually just confusing with this news about how he cut Starlink support on territory of Russia, but actually those water drones, surface drones, they were actually transmitting videos by Starlink and all the way to the Kerch Bridge and those tankers and all of it. So basically, they're just hiding that the Starlink is still active in those areas. I think because this is far long past what happened. It's been like 8 months since that thing happened. That first surface drones were
that was a long
on a
time
beach
ago.
and now it's a story about it.
I think
kind of weird. It's just
the
washing
current
out.
one might be something new. I think the current one might be something new one. It might be the because now they're constantly trying to land on Crimea for no apparent reason. And I think maybe something happened with one of the drones that got shot down. One of the Ukrainian drones probably is the one that is transmitting information and intel, got shot down by the Russians. So maybe they wanted an alternative. They asked for emergency enabling of the Starlink so that they can actually control or communicate with the people on the vessels. And then Elon Musk don't allow. Could be something like this. I think it's a separate issue because it's not like Elon Musk cut the link. Is that the link was never there? Because the satellite was never the internet was never enabled outside of Ukraine for those systems that is operating within Ukraine. It was already closed off. So it's just that I think the State Department asked for it to be on in the Black Sea all the way to Crimea, and then they like Elon Musk said no. I think that's the new story. It's like a separate thing from the previous one. I think this is the new one. Because one of the incident was that one of the drones got shot down. Ukraine have a drone that's flying close to Crimea that is monitoring the operation. That drone got shot down. So I think that was the incident that triggered this incident where the State Department asked for emergency, enabling of the internet. Then Elon Musk said no. So it became a big hoo-ha. I suspect.
Yeah, so they say that a few surface drones just lost communication and kept on going and hit the shore, left on a shore without control. If you remember the first picture of that drone, those boats, one was on a rocks in the Black Sea, so it just didn't have control over it, and it just kept going.
But that's the danger now. But that's the danger now because they are trying. The U.S. government is trying to take down Elon Musk in a way, or at least trying to suppress him because he is going against the government and running of Twitter. Giving the freedom of speech, to basically even their enemies. It really threatens their national security of some sort, so, or at least the narrative. So so we have to be careful with anything with regarding Elon Musk now. It's just like the Trump era. Anything regarding Trump, especially the negative one, we have to take it with a pinch of salt, and we need to do the digging, or try to understand why this thing happened. Because now Elon Musk is the new target. Trump is still pretty much it's like a side thing now. So something that we need to be careful. The information war is really getting very fierce. So anyway, I want to do closing because today I think maybe it's the wrong day. Saturday maybe more people will participate. So
or bad timing.
Yeah, I can't be helped. I'm actually still coughing, so sometimes I mute myself. I'm coughing. I'm still not fully well yet. I can hear from my voice. So let's do closing. Nunya.
For the week ahead, I think it's going to be more of the same. I don't think we're going to see anything major changing on the front in Ukraine. And I don't really think we'll see much changing in Africa either in Gabon or Niger. I could be wrong. There's reports that France are assembling their militaries outside of Niger. Take that for what you will. We'll see what happens there, but I'm guessing there won't be an intervention there. I don't think there's any support for it within the country or within the supporting countries around it. So I think it'll be a pretty slow week. Of course, could be wrong. So we'll see.
Thank you, Nunya. Corbyn.
He wants to be last.
Thank you. So it's actually been quite a while since I've been on the open mic. It's quite nice. It's a very calm, little quaint little gathering here on a Sunday. We got to talk a lot about stuff. I was, I feel sad for Vaun that he didn't get to talk about Ukraine as much as he wanted to before leaving. But stuff happens. Oh, what do you know? Okay, that's actually very, very, very handy that you came in on this time. Okay, so
and you were waiting for me. That's why I came on.
Yeah, we're just closing right now. So, I guess I'll just do my shtick here. I want to thank all the panelists here for having all these interesting discussions. Got to talk about economics and whatnot. And I am deeply appreciative of those of you who were super chatted to us and actually added to the conversation. This time we were a little bit better at responding, probably because we were fewer people on. There are no words to extend the gratitude, so that's the best you can get from me. I'm sorry, but we love you. And we also love those of you who support DPA financially on Patreon, Ko-fi, Locals, and Boosty. I also want to kind of reach out a little bit here to you guys in the audience, be it those of you here now watching live or those of you who missed the stream but end up watching later and might be able to comment. It would be very nice if you could point out timestamps of points where you think were shareable. And also, do please have a look into the other videos that are uploaded here on the DPA open mic, where they are more topical. And, maybe it may not be the most interesting topic, but keep in mind, it's people here getting on the open mic, people like you, right? And so you may either be one of those who get on it, but also just like as a first step, please come with suggestions. Go maybe on the DPA forum on Telegram and have maybe try to reach out for us. You can find many of us there and give us some suggestions. What do you think? What you would like to be having us converse on? Because I've come to recognize that many of you're not, you have a job or whatever. There are reasons you cannot get on the stream, and we get that. But don't feel like you're left out. Like, please do come with suggestions. This is it's very helpful for us to kind of have a little bit of interaction with you guys. And so, finishing up, I'll actually lead that more for one of the videos regarding the open mic. FCS was with me on one of the recent ones regarding the coups and so forth in Africa. So please check that out. And with that being said, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And we like you a lot better if you press that like button than if you didn't. But all things being equal,
I thought you almost forgot about that.
Button? No,
yeah, that was
No.
I just like
Everyone should
I forgot.
punch that.
I just like
I'll
the stream
punch.
now. You know.
it's incorporated in my genes. It's really now genetic. Now my kids are gonna wait. They when they come born, we have a saying here in Norway.
And walk
Norwegians
with
are born with.
a thumb up, right?
Yeah, because we have a saying in
walk with
Norway
the
they're
thumb
born with
up.
skis on their legs, but what will happen with my kids is that they're going to be popping out with that. Don't forget to like the DPA.
FCS, you want to do some closing? You're muted. Wait, you're muted. Wait, you're muted. I just now muted you because there was some background sound. Yeah.
Wait, do I still get background noise?
Yeah, you can hear. You can talk now.
Okay. I just came in just to close because again, it was a very busy day on my end, and I did join in later on, almost like 30 minutes ago. Got some of it. But as always, as Corbyn said again, if you guys can share these videos, I do share them again with people. But I think for some reasons, I think this thing have more content, more discussions than most other places I've been watching. But for some reason, there's very little reach on your channels. I don't know why that is, but I'm starting to notice that. Become like some of the discussions they have some really good content in it. Yeah, of course, we're all just talking on.
Yeah.
Talking on.
No, this is DPA. No, they are like
they're suffocating it, right? Somebody's doing it. I think it's Voice is doing it. Voice, you're the one doing this.
Well, I think it could be one thing. It's the length of the open mics. You look at a 4 or 5 hours. I don't want to commit that much time. But when you go to the site and we break it up, it's in more easily digestible chunks.
I think you should do that. Use the timestamp for all new titles and divide them into different part 1, part 2, part 3 with different titles.
Yeah.
I think try that
Are you
because
offering the help?
when I first opened up, it was 6 hours. I listened to the 6 hours long, but it took a lot of courage to listen to 6 hours of people talking. Yeah, so if you can really cut it into maybe like 20-30 minute bits, part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe there'll be some little changes there. Because the ones I look at other channels, nobody have this long of a discussion. So again,
well, I have actually from feedback from the comments pertaining exactly to that, where they would say that they don't actually mind that it is 5 to 6 hours because they just watch parts of it during the day and then they'll come back to it when they can and they just keep on watching. So, but of course it's intimidating when you see 5 to 6 hours, like, oh, what the? So you get instead, if you have a 20 minutes, I guess, 10 minutes, maybe even, because you can refer to the stream to whichever, and if they were actually interested in more parts, they either skim on the clips or they
I think you should do both. You should have like a full version and segments and different version of timestamps. Extra work for you.
So just to address on the FCS thing. So previously I did post those short clips, but I didn't have a good format to it, the good content strategy to it. I think this will come back because what I realize is that I'm looking at nowadays I'm only posting the voice chat videos. But the voice chat videos are not getting the traction that it should get, or at least I'm not sure. So I personally, I don't really have time to watch it also. So I also not too sure what is the situation with the voice chat. So I just post. But I will have to clip some of the best conversations out separately as a video. So because revenue, there is not much revenue to talk about, but it's like one video is like $1, $2 if I post a small clips. But it's just that it does bring in some new subscribers and whatnot. I think I need to redo that again because if not, the channel is getting a bit stale. We are not growing, and if we don't grow, it's a problem because we need to constantly have new people, as we always will have people dropping out. So I think open mic viewership has been stagnant or even falling. So it's important that I need to do something different. So I will see what I can do based on my limited time.
And to those watching, always share. And also, example, like we just discussed the coup, and we were right about the coup. We're not right publicly, but what we discuss now, in that discussion is actually what's happening currently. So again, for those watching, we're not just talking out of thin air. We may have some content here. And as always, man, nice meeting you guys, and till next time.
Thank you, FCS. Voss, closing.
Oh yes, it must done again. Okay, Slav Ukraine. Yeah, one thing I will enjoy today because there's not a lot of people, so we had chance how to have a proper talk. Apart when he was talking because he's far behind. He doesn't know when we're still talking. Oh yes, but today, tonight, yes, maybe it's still morning where you are. We had to talk about what happened in Africa, and I really enjoy Nonian, interviewing that. He was talking like a proper white African because he knew what he was talking about. That's good. Was good to see. Yeah, yeah. It was,
My brother.
something we never talk about. Something we never talk about is France. We give too much credit to France. Trust me, I'm gonna say that again. Without Africa, France is a third world country. And again, Slav Ukraine, that's all. Wakanda
Yeah,
forever.
that was correct. We had more topics included, and even I introduced a little bit about parallel currency and all the new informations that nobody heard of it. I don't know how people know about it, but my main point about talking about it is for most people to realize how much we are the victims of propaganda. It took me many years to learn all of that. We are the unaware victims of propaganda to believe so much propaganda, and it takes so much time and effort to get away from underneath. Like so many older people still talk about, Russia as the Soviet Union and all of it. It's like just impossible to get away from such mindset that was instilled in us and in childhood, in all of it. I would really like to go on with that topic, victims of propaganda, maybe a new term. Um, we should be like really taking care of each other, because that this propaganda is actually dividing us and preventing us from uniting and forcing now our governments to do the right thing. I would say the solution to the topic that you were talking about, how to improve things in our countries now, the only way I see it is people united, forcing, no matter who is in power, forcing them by demonstration, but by us being united, by us leaving this propaganda paradigm that we got into it about knowledge, who's the enemy, who's friend, and forcing the government, no matter who's in power, what party is in power, what that because they always turn into the same model. And no matter if it's new party, they over time, in few years, they will turn the same model as the old parties. So it's united people to come together and force government to do the right thing. And I think this format that Wyatt is doing is actually putting all the world, people from all the world together, uniting us, getting us together. Can you imagine if this is a mass sighting, that there's like a massive open mics all over YouTube, and you find the mass of people talking to other people from other side of the world. And it's like, how to get those people against each other? Then that will be the problem for the state, because we are talking, we are communicating. Speed of communication enable us to see each other, to communicate to each other, to see that we have the common enemy, deep state or elites, basically, with their intelligent agencies. That's what deep state is. elite in support with their intelligence agencies that doing work for them. That's the state. That's our common enemy, not us, not us. So this is I think the future of bright future looking up, something to look up to. So very, very good job, Wyatt. Keep doing it.
Hey, Wyatt,
it
I
comes
love
money
that
helps,
idea.
but
I love that idea of doing a panel specifically on propaganda, because I mean, even if you look at the panel right now, you've got Singapore, Canada, Norway. I think you're in Nigeria, FCS,
Liberia.
So, oh yes, Liberia. Sorry, Angola, Croatia. And then demographics, we've got a different perspective what Erie would have experienced versus FCS. So right there, like, what a cross section of just the six of us. So I'd be interested to see, like, how did propaganda evolve in your country?
Just to add to this
that'd be
context,
fascinating.
Just
Sure,
add something
yeah.
quick. Yeah, a friend of mine I wanted to invite to this panel. And one of the first thing was, don't forget, these guys, they already have a ton of the misinformation about us. We have to go past that before they can pick up any new thing, because everything you have to say, they have to filter it through that tons of misinformation they already have about us. So they said, just that alone, I'm not ready to fight that battle, because everything you're saying completely contradicts what they've heard for years about you. So they have to drop those qualifiers they already have about you to accept any new thing about you. So most of them are inviting this. That's some of the things that just like I don't have the time of day to go unloading those tons of load from the head to add what is real to them. And I can see that for me, I guess I'm one of the oddballs. But I'm talking to people on the ground like, hey man, we have this online thing, some videos. They watch it. This is cool. I say, yeah, I want to join and say some of the statement there is completely incorrect and misinformed. So I have to beat the information of them first and give them the truth. But I don't have time for that. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm talking to people to see if they can come in and share their ideas. For me, no time is too late to get information. Yeah, so propaganda is really big.
Propaganda is something. Some propaganda is something strong, you know.
Oh, it's
until
big.
2 years ago, I was proper BBC fanatic, you know, Sky News fanatic. And these days, when I watch Sky News, I need a shower straight away.
One of a very early childhood
because
career was to be a journalist.
trust me, these people, you know, I remember during COVID, they used to say, if you really believe these people on YouTube, so you are just an ignorant. How can you believe someone who is streaming from his bedroom and stuff?
I have to come in here because you know this is extremely interesting watching here, and I think you people in the audience should be paying close attention to what is occurring right now, because as Euro was speaking here about victims of propaganda, it struck me that this could actually be something worthwhile and something that we're trying to conceive here in the DPA behind, and that's actually, you know, here you get a little bit of a spoiler. It's getting some short interviews. You know, we're talking about getting short videos, and what we've been thinking of having short interviews with the speakers, you know, when they have the time for it, you know, because it's difficult to arrange panels like this. That's very often challenging in and of by itself, and especially if Wyatt needs to be there present in and of by himself. But so here's the idea that I was hoping to kind of get some feedback, both from you in the here on the panel, but also you in the audience, and that is where you know, victims of propaganda, and then you know, Nunia goes on with that he wants a panel. Well, we could actually work our way to the panel, because often that's how panels occur. We come with, wait, this topic about here, like we've been talking about this, should we perhaps get this guy who knows a lot about this involved, or this guy involved about this and that? But we can also go individually on it. So I will be very appreciative of you in the audience if you could give some feedback about the idea of having interviews where I interview Euro about his take here. For example, you know, he's a little bit more prepared. I have one with Nunia. I have another one here helping me also to kick off with the interview. He has much better audio and all that than I do, so it's much better that he does it. But the point is that we are trying to kind of find ways to kind of make the things that we like to do, entertainable and manageable and interactive for all of us. And it pertains being also able to do that in front of you. So again, like I keep harping on it like a broken record, but it's really important, right? That you give a feedback to us, you get on the open mic, maybe you try to reach out to us on the forum and whatnot, and you try to, because again, we're just a bunch of dudes getting together here. We're ultimately not that different from you. The only difference here is that we have shown ourselves on the screen and we get together and we have gotten accustomed to it, right? The stage anxiety and all that is all over, and that's really it. So if you let's say you wanted to get on, you have something on your mind, and you want to use us as a conduit, then you don't need to be too hesitant about it, right? The super chats are kind of already validating that in and of by itself. And so, but it doesn't have to be financial. You can also come with inputs on how we, actually, if you have this topic, for example, I would like to have a series of interviews with this and this and this person. You can just submit it. We can make rooms and topics for that in a Telegram group where you can submit, like, I would like to have an interviewing sequence with these and these open mic speakers, or some other YouTubers that Wyatt might be concomitant with another YouTuber that Wyatt might have connection to, or something like that.
And remember one thing. Yes, Super Chat makes us talking about your questions straight away, but don't forget, we read the comments. We always reading comments. When there's something important, we go straight to it. So just keep watching.
Good one. Thank you.
And
Bye.
I'm so happy with all of you. We still got 60 people watching. That's good. Okay, right.
Yep.
Salute.
Bye, folks.
Bye bye.
Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.
Bye bye. So my turn. So basically, I just want to add on to whatever they have said. The main thing now is that there might be some kind of algorithm change on YouTube. Maybe, I'm not sure. So it could also be the reason why it contributes to lower views across all DPA channels. It's not just the war channel or the main channel, but across all channels. Things like video performing very well, like there's people watch much longer on average, or have higher click-through rates, don't really reflect on the views. I'm not sure if it's a suppression thing or is it just it's just an algorithm issue. So and on top of that, DPA open mic channel we are currently pretty stagnant. So the viewership is dropping slowly. So there must be some kind of change that I need to do in terms of content strategy and whatnot. So I will be trying to do my best to see. Give me a ring. Whoop. Sorry, accident. So I will be putting up the clips again. So because I have a lot of clips, I use the AI tool to help to do the timestamps and everything. Then I have all the clips that I need to spend time to do some editing. And I will bring back the clips and see whether it can help to bring in more new viewers and whatnot. And I also, one of the other changes is that the DPA panels, I'm currently not too sure if I'm going to be posting them on the main channel anymore. The main reason also is due to algorithm. Because it's starting to look like, if I keep posting videos that is getting very, very low views as compared to the other videos, it's going to affect the whole channel as a whole. Despite YouTube saying that it doesn't, but it looks like it. And Harper asks how Duran get so many views. Is basically through a long-term gathering of subscribers and people who are interested in it. Like Duran always have the same podcast, so they just invite guests. The two main hosts remains the same, so that's the mainstay. So that is the main reason why that it doesn't change, which is also why there is a DPA war channel and a DPA main channel, because I need to move the war reporting to a separate channel. If not, I cannot report on geopolitics. If not, the war reporting is going to overwhelm the geopolitics sides of things, and it will just destroy any ways to talk about geopolitics. So I have to separate them. So yeah, so there's a few things I will be trying to do. War channel, I have already did some of the changes. I am actually happy with some of the changes that I've done. Like for example, the SIP putting into the paywall, and then only leaving the conclusion to public. I think that works. Revenue wise, it doesn't really change even much. In fact, it's a weird thing. So that works, and then that also gives people who are paying money for DPA have something to something extra. And I think most viewers are very casual viewers. They don't really care about the technical reports. So I think that works generally. And yeah, and then I'm thinking about panels, putting into the open mic channel, but I will be putting advertisement of sort, highlights into the main channel. Some of the ideas that I have, a lot of things, like actually I have a lot of ideas for the open mic channel. I just have no time to work on it because the viewership is too low and everything. So yeah, life sucks. And shorts this one, yes, shorts actually cannibalizes the views of actually main videos. So if I post a video and then I post a shorts, it actually clashes with each other. In terms of collabs, Bozo asked about collabs. Collaboration, I'm not sure. I mean, you can do collaboration, but the thing is, it depends on who you are collaborating. And I mean, anytime actually, if I want, I can actually get History Legend to record a video with me because he's my BFF. The problem is there is way more things that it's not about the views alone, but it's more like there's actually a lot of things that we need to cover. For example, whatever happening with Armenia and Azerbaijan, I really want to cover that next. Then there's still Niger. We need to update on Niger. There is the geopolitics around Ukraine. So there's a lot of things to report. So to do collaboration actually takes a lot of time to synchronize and prepare and plan, which is why I don't do that, because on top of all this geopolitical stuff that I want to report on, there's still the daily Ukraine war stuff. So yeah, it's a mainly time problem. It's just time. Yep. Thank you so much. Yeah, I did drink the coffee, but thank you, Voss. Yeah, so not history agent, history legend. Yeah, so yeah, so there are a lot of things that is happening. Yeah, the viewership issue. I used to be more worried about the viewership previously because I don't have that much patrons on Patreon. And actually today, for those that do not know, there's over 200 people that is actually financially supporting DPA on a monthly basis, on a recurring basis, on Patreon, Boosty, Locals, Coffee, as well as now YouTube membership. More than 200. I actually not too sure what's the exact number. There's a lot of people. So these over 200 sergeants, officers, and generals are the reason why I actually not that stressed. I'm just very pissed off only. I'm not stressed. I'm just pissed off because the hard work doesn't reflect. I don't get you put in the hard work, you expect certain results, but the result doesn't reflect in the hard work. So that's the problem I have now. But that is a good foundation. These officer, sergeants, and general support actually helps to provide that foundation. Then everything else coming from the advertising side, the YouTube advertising, that helps to add on to the income, and then that actually makes the entire operation at DPA tenable. DPA open mic wise, the main cost comes from actually using the AI tool to do this transcription if I want to, but breaking up the timestamps and actually breaking up into snippets. These actually this cost money. A 5-hour costs around 60 Singapore dollars. So the super chat actually goes to mainly the AI tool to help to do this thing. So yeah, so basically I will I will be doing what I can. I think main thing, since this is the open mic channel, I think the open mic channel, I need to do more changes. I need to improve the content strategy here so that we can get more new supporters and to introduce people into open mic. I understand open mic is a very hard thing to get in because we are a bunch of nobodies, generally speaking, and to listen to people who we don't know who are they is hard, and especially the open mic, the videos are also long, so I know it's challenging. But anyway, but I still got you guys. You guys are still supporting. We still have, I think, 1,000 over views, I believe. For every open mic. Let me check. In terms of viewership, open mic. Let me check live. Yeah, we still have actually pretty healthy. Don't be too ambitious, but we still have like on average 2,000, 3,000, sometimes 1,000 plus to 2,000 people watching the open mic. That's the viewership. How much they watch, I'm not sure, but there are still a lot of people who watches the open mic. So despite in live we have only maybe 100 plus, but we actually have 10 times to 20 times more people that actually watch after the live is over. So there is still people who supports this, and I really want to continue to do this and to provide, give people voices. We shall see how this goes. Bozo asked about this one. This very hard to work. The reason is this: everyone that is so-called celebrity or YouTubers are very, very busy, like really very busy. I personally know Whip Union. I personally know NWE War Reports. I personally know History Legends, Brian Belatic, Alex Cristofori. I can tell you, everybody is fucking busy. Like, they are just as busy as I am, and there is no time to. It's a very limited amount of time that they can spare. So for them to come onto a show, let's say I do a super panel, I invite them on as a panelist, they only have 1 hour to 1.5 hours at max. So even Scott Ritter, when I invited him on, he's here for like 1 hour plus, and he have to go. So everybody is very, very busy. So it's not easy to arrange a celebrity one. So I try not to. So I prefer to focus on our own community, and I try to report on the news. And yeah. So anyway, so I just want to say all these things. Yeah, hopefully more people will hear it. If not, then yeah, I will still be continue to innovate and try to find new ways to do content and reporting and analysis and whatnot to bring more insights into different things. I just try to do my best. I'm not sure. Anyway, thank you for watching. Sorry, Wall Siberia. He always appear when I'm about to close. And yeah, thank you for watching. Do share the words, the gospel of the open mic, and do press the like button. And I'll see you guys in the next update. Most likely it's going to be a Ukraine war video. Yeah, and I'm gonna put in the outro, and I'll see you guys in the next update.